This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
A possible late shower today and a top of 18. With the 6 o'clock news, I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
All eyes are on Minneapolis, where the jury in the trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin have reached a verdict in the death of George Floyd. Authorities are bracing for mass demonstrations depending on the outcome. The verdict will be handed down in the next hour. Well, Big Bird is back. The missing costume has been returned to the Sesame Street Circus site at Bonython Park. It was taken sometime between Sunday night and Monday morning and is worth $160,000. FIVEaa Breakfast will have more details on the story that has ruffled plenty of feathers. Well, a third round of the popular Great State vouchers will be on offer this morning, encouraging South Aussies to experience our state. Michaela Kamarik has the details.
The third round of the Great State vouchers go on offer from 9 a.m. this morning, and this round is focused solely on experiences. Shark cage diving, Segway tours, canoeing and gin making are some of the activities on offer. $50, $100 and $200 vouchers will be up for grabs. Recipients can register their interest on the tourism website and they'll be selected through an electronic ballot. The ballot closes on Friday night with successful applicants notified on Saturday. Bookings can then begin as soon as next Tuesday.
A second South Australian McDonald's franchisee is being sued for denying staff breaks. It's alleged 55 crew members across 4 different outlets were refused rest breaks. The union's Josh Peake says they need to be held accountable.
We're asking the court to award penalties to fine these McDonald's franchisees for doing the wrong thing, to send a really clear signal to the industry that workers deserve proper paid breaks, and we're going to be taking employers on that do the wrong thing.
More than $500 million will be spent on new hydrogen and carbon capture projects as part of an effort to reduce emissions. This year's federal budget will include $275 million for 4 hydrogen hubs in regional Australia. A similar amount will be spent on new carbon capture projects. Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor says it will create thousands of jobs.
It's actually an investment in bringing down emissions, but most importantly in investing in jobs in our regional areas. This is about establishing hydrogen hubs to produce hydrogen for use in Australia and for our customers offshore.
The wraps have come off some new look Apple products. The company unveiled the AirTag at their Spring Loaded event overnight, which can track things like keys and wallets. There's also a redesigned iMac. The iPad Pro has had a refresh. The colour choices for the iPhone now include purple, and Apple has given the podcast app a major overhaul. Now to FIVEaa Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
And it's good morning to Tom Wren.
And a very good morning to you as well, Mel. Let's start with football. 3 Adelaide players have made the AFLW Team of the Year, with Erin Phillips, Sarah Allen and Ebony Marinoff all making the side. Fremantle's Kiara Bowers and Collingwood's Bree Davey were joint winners of the overall individual award, while the Crows' Daniel Ponta took out Mark of the Year. Still on footy, and Port Adelaide forward Mitch Georgiades says he's loving his time at Alberton and would like to stay at the club long term. The 19-year-old West Aussie took out the Rising Star Award on the weekend after picking up 15 touches and booting 3 goals. And he told Rowie and Treaders he's not feeling homesick.
Firstly, be given the opportunity and then to re-sign with the club is absolutely amazing. And from the day dot, as soon as I've got here, I've felt like a part of a family. And it was, like I said earlier in the day, it's probably the best thing for me to move away and to experience life somewhere else. And I'm absolutely loving it, and it's such a great place to be. And the club's so amazing and everyone around it.
Let's switch our focus to soccer now. The new European Super League is in crisis just 48 hours after its inception. English clubs Manchester City and Chelsea are reportedly in the process of withdrawing following widespread backlash from fans, players and fellow clubs. Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson, along with players Trent Alexander-Arnold and James Milner, have put out statements declaring the team does not want to be a part of it. Meantime, Chelsea is locked at 0-0 against Brighton early in the second half of their English Premier League clash. And Aussie Jordan Thompson has set up a second-round clash with Pablo Carreño Busta at the Barcelona Open. And that's the FIVEaa Sport.
Now the FIVEaa forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
A possible late shower, 18. Showers easing tomorrow, 19. Friday, a shower or 2 and 20. Right now, it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on FIVEaa.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 after 6, good morning to you. Welcome to Wednesday on 5AA Breakfast. Tell you what, if you've pulled the doona a little bit tighter overnight, you've done so with good reason. Stay in bed an extra 15 minutes this morning. It is cold out there, as you've just heard from Mel on the news. It's 9.8 now. It was around 7 when I got up, and I've got to say, it felt like the first genuine brush with winter that we've had. It was cool this morning. Now, we typically start the show by talking about what's coming up. I've got to say, David, on this Wednesday morning, I'm far more interested in what's happening right now around the world, though, because at any moment, the jury in the Derek Chauvin trial in Minneapolis will return their verdict. I'm right now looking at a live screen from PBS, which is the state seal of Minneapolis, 1858. It's at the back of the courtroom. It's a locked-off camera looking at where the verdict will ultimately be delivered from. And as soon as we get some news on that front, we'll cross live to the scene. Now, here's the other thing. Imagine being a shop owner in Minneapolis at these moments, waiting to find out what's going to happen there and around the country. You can watch it on our live stream right now. Picture in picture. We'll have it in the bottom corner of the screen, so you'll be able to see it live as it happens on the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live streams. David, good morning to you. The other big news, of course, driving in this morning, went past the brewery, the Coke factory area of Adelaide, as I do every morning. I thought, gee, there's a lot of police activity at Penberthy Park. A lot of police activity. 4 or 5 police cars lined up there. The reason being, Big Bird was returned. Big Bird has been returned in the middle of the night with a note. Big Bird has been returned with a note. Now, we don't know where Big Bird was. In fact, you may be able to help us out with that. 82230000. Where do you think Big Bird's been for the last 24 hours?
Amazing story and a great result. Good morning, Will. Good morning, folks. I think, as we said the other day, it sounded all along like this was some sort of drunken prank.
Yeah.
And hopefully someone has looked into their conscience, as we were calling them to, and gone, that was a really dumb thing to do, or quietly return the bird. So good on them for doing that. I mean, not good on them for stealing it, good on them for taking it back. But the big story, obviously, is going to be coming out of Minneapolis. 10 hours the jury has been deliberating for. I tell you what, you'd love to be a fly on the wall in there. They've got a fair bit to think about.
Yeah, it'll come through at any moment. Well, we're going to cross live to the scene of the circuit, the Big Bird return first, though, because Peter Caldecott for 7 News is there. Peter, can you take us through what conditions Big Bird in?
Well, Big Bird is back, and he's all in one piece and in very good shape, we have to say. The people here at the circus are overjoyed to have Big Bird back. The Sesame Street people apparently have notified headquarters in New York, but it's 4 a.m. in the morning there. But it's a huge coup for Sesame Street.
It certainly is. So, Peter, do you know exactly what time Big Bird arrived?
Well, it's only just in the last hour, really just after 5 o'clock. A contractor was on his way to work in the dark, was passing the circus and saw 2 people sort of hanging around, looking sort of suspicious. And so he went down the road and turned around and he called 000. He called, didn't know the police number. He called 000 and turned around and came back and saw the same 2 people running across the road from the circus, disappearing in between 2 buildings just by Super Cheap Autos.
Oh, yeah.
And so they've taken off. But he stopped and realised they've dumped the bird, and police were on the scene very shortly after with their dogs. And they've sort of snooped around the area with the dogs, but haven't been able to find the alleged offenders. But the bird is back. It's in great shape, and it's a very valuable bird. They're saying up to $160,000. So the people here at the circus are just overjoyed to have him back.
What do the notes say, Peter? Do we know?
It's written by the Big Bird Bandits, and they sort of apologise for the actions. They say they didn't really realise the gravity of what they'd done, and they're sorry for what happened. And pretty much it goes into a few details like that. I I don't have it on me at the moment.
Yeah,
but,
sure, it's brilliant evidence.
That's right.
So the Big Bird Bandits, have you christened them that, or did they sign off that? Because that changes the complexion of
they
things.
signed off that. The Big Bird Bandits.
Oh, did they?
They called themselves that.
You're joking.
Big Bird Bandits. Okay.
Oh, dear.
Peter, thank you. That's excellent news for the Sesame Street Circus people. And
Certainly is. And we actually bought tickets ourselves last night to go tomorrow. Thursday's tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow.
You got in on the cut price, no Big Bird ticket sale, did you?
Nah, we were going to do it anyway just to support him. As the bloke we had on yesterday said, he's only front of house. He's not part of the show.
That's right. I tell you what, the Peter Caldecott, for people that are on social media and Twitter, can go to his Twitter and see the Big Bird was sort of found slumped up against one of these electrical boxes. He looks less kidnapped than he does recovering from a big night.
Yeah, he looks like he should be holding a Euros, doesn't he? And a large Farmers Union iced coffee.
Well, if you've got any,
just to settle the stomach.
If you've got any wild theories about where you think Big Bird's been for the last 24 hours, I mean, he says kidnapped.
It looks like he's been at Rio in Hindley Street.
Yeah, I'd suggest...
Is that still there?
It looks like he's...
Am I showing my age?
He may have tied one on. Wouldn't be the first person to come to town, put a show on and then tie one on and disappear for a few days. 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 0480 81395. It's 11 after 6. We'll get to the news headlines in just a moment. We may have to break from them, though, to go to the verdict coming in the Derek Chauvin trials, expected any moment now, and you'll hear it here live on 5AA Breakfast when it comes in.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. Surgical and medical procedures may not be as expensive as you think. Some people only wish to pay for procedures without the expense of being a member in a private health insurance fund. So, you might be surprised to learn that Western Hospital offers quotations for all procedures undertaken within the hospital. Ask us for a quote. Call Western Hospital, your hospital that cares, on 8159 1200 or visit westernhospital.com.au.
If you want to build a new home, something that reflects you and your lifestyle, speak with Beechwood Homes. And just so you know, they won't try and sell you a house plan. In fact, there's no house plans until you tell them what you want. So go for it. Start thinking of all the possibilities or get in touch with Beechwood Homes for a few thought starters. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home. For inspiration, visit the stunning Beechwood Homes display home in Blackwood Park.
What's on your bucket list? Parachuting? Climbing Everest? Swimming with sharks? There's one thing that should be on everyone's bucket list: a will and estate plan. A will, power of attorney, and advanced care directive speak for you when you can't. They look after you and your loved ones. A will and estate plan drawn up by Donlan Lawyers is peace of mind for everyone. For wills and estate planning, contact Donlan Lawyers or visit donlanlawyers.com. Put it on your bucket list.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. Don't wait for end of financial year sales. Get great deals on a massive range of new Volkswagens right now. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen has loaded up on new stock, as well as locate demos, all ready for immediate delivery. And if you're impressed with our sales team, you'll love our service department with next day servicing and free loan cars. Don't wait for a great deal on Volkswagen. Get yours now from Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
QCO on Brighton Road have everything you need to upgrade your bathroom, kitchen and laundry. We have over 40 vanity units on display, tapware and accessories. Plus, for a limited time, we're offering free installation on QCO's large range of sliding, bifold, semi-frameless and frameless made-to-measure shower screens. Come in for ideas or call us for a no-obligation measure and quote on 8298 2555. QCO, reflecting your good taste. 270 Brighton Road, Somerton Park.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 6, Big Bird has been found, returned. Not sure on the terminology because we don't know where he's been. A note was left on his person. Again, unsure of the terminology. His person? Yeah. Well, is he a person? On his birdness?
He's a bird.
On his birdness. And his birdness. That said it was returned by the Bird Bandits.
Big Bird Bandits.
The Big Bird Bandits, which is
BBB.
the most creative use of the word bandit since the Wet Bandits in Home Alone. We've been wondering where he might have been. Elizabeth's got a theory on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line. Big Bird has taken advantage of the government travel vouchers. Maybe just dipped across to Melbourne for the last 24 hours.
Half-price holiday. Well,
Yeah.
who knows? I mean, probably... Oh, no, you could have had time to spend one night in New Zealand, part of the travel bubble.
Might have just taken advantage of it, Big Bird.
Pop
Does
down to
like to travel.
Queenstown. Yeah.
I like your theory, Elizabeth.
He looked good on a pair of skis in Queenstown, wouldn't he?
You absolutely.
Coming down Kedona.
Tough to go incognito, though. You'd think someone would have been papped, as they say. 822 300 00 or text us on 0448 08 1395, the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line if you've got a theory on where he may have been. Let's head to the news headlines. Everyone over the age of 16 living in the United States is now eligible for a coronavirus vaccine. Wow. US President Joe Biden has tweeted that every adult is eligible to get the vaccine and says better days are ahead.
16 years old. That's a staggering amount of people. That'd be, what, 220 odd, 230 odd million people can just rock up and get it. Terrific.
Europe's medicines regulator has now found possible links between the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine and rare blood clots. The European Medicines Agency emphasised the overall benefits of receiving the shot still outweighs the risks. That seems to be lost on a lot of people.
Yeah.
New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern is playing down concerns the Australian travel bubble will be affected by a new COVID case in the country. An Auckland airport worker who cleans high-risk flights has tested positive to the disease despite being vaccinated. Here's Jacinda Ardern talking on the issue.
This was a border worker who did work in an environment where they were coming into contact with the planes that are used to transport people from red zones, so from high-risk countries.
She made a good point yesterday at the press conference, actually saying, look, when we opened the bubble, Queensland had some cases. Let's be mature about this.
Yeah.
There are going to be cases from time to time. It's not a reason to shut the whole thing down.
Are all of the premiers going to stick to the script? I was thinking, is McGowan going to keep saying, all right, our people can go to New Zealand, they can come in here?
Can he stop it?
Well, I don't know. It just seems to be a total about-face on everything that he did prior to the WA election. And he said on election night, I'm still going to shut the borders when there's cases.
He wouldn't be the first poly that behaves differently in the lead-up to the election and then immediately after it.
Mm. Well, I'm not hoping that he does. I just think...
Yeah, I know.
Based on past performance. But,
if he was consistent, they'd be ruled out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another SA McDonald's franchise is facing legal action over claims workers were denied paid breaks. It's alleged 55 current and former staff were not given rest and drink breaks between March 2015 and October 2020. South Australians will be able to sign up for the next round of the popular Great State vouchers within hours. We know Big Bird's already on board. Under the program, $50, $100 and $200 vouchers will be on offer for tourism experiences only. The ballot opens at 9 a.m. and closes on Friday night. More than $500 million will be spent on new renewable energy projects to reduce Australia's carbon emissions. The federal government will set aside the money in next month's budget. It will go towards 4 new clean hydrogen hubs and carbon capture projects. Jeff Kennett says he won't pursue the idea of becoming the next president of the Victorian Liberal Party. He used his column in the Herald Sun to explain he was not able to secure the orderly transition he had hoped for and didn't want to create fodder for opponents. So he wanted the red carpet rolled out, basically.
That's right. Exactly. Jeff, his new sort of line of belligerence is demanding that Hawthorn be given a AFLW licence. That's all coming to a head soon, which is potentially interesting because Brisbane are against it, and whatever does or doesn't happen in terms of rolling out new licences, because there's a lot of clubs who think the numbers currently are good and shouldn't be boosted yet because it would lead to a dilution of the standard of the competition. But Kennett's firing up about it. But you would think if they get it, it could potentially delay Port's hopes of getting it. Because Koshy's on the record as saying he wants a club by 2023.
19 after 6, we're all waiting on the verdict in the trial of Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis. I imagine everyone who owns a shop and lives in that city are too, with bated breath. God knows what the scenes would be afterwards if the verdict's not guilty.
See, I'd actually say it's not just the shop owners in Minneapolis; it's the whole country.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
If you had a Macy's or like some corner liquor store in LA, you'd be watching this as well. With great trepidation because, and I think there's actually a chance it might be not guilty.
I do too. Yeah, I
wouldn't be surprised.
I've only caught snippets of the defence over the journey of the trial
because, as horrible it was, and this isn't in any way defending the cop, and to be totally candid, I hope he's found guilty. I think he deserves to be found guilty. But in terms of muddying the waters, you could see a jury focusing quite heavily on the fact that George Floyd had drugs in his system or had recently had drugs in his system, and also that he had pre-existing medical problems. Now, I don't think any of that excuses being knelt on for that long on the throat, or indeed being knelt on the throat at all.
Especially when you're cuffed and you're really posing no threat to anyone.
Face down on the ground. But it's all about putting doubt in the jury's mind, and I think there's quite a bit for the defence to work with there.
21 minutes after 6, Joe Biden, this would never happen in Australia, but with the jury sequestered away, the US president has weighed in on his thoughts.
They're calling for peace and tranquility, no matter what that verdict is. I'm praying the verdict is the right verdict, which is, I think it's overwhelming in my view. I wouldn't say that unless the jury was sequestered now. Not hear me say that.
It's hard to make it out entirely, but he did say he thinks it's overwhelming.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Certainly is. 21 after 6. Lots of texts on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line with theories of where our good friend Big Bird has been. We had the travel voucher theory come through.
Some of the other creatures on Sesame Street are being blamed as well. Bianca at Larg says this was always an inside job. Elmo has always been looking funnily at Big Bird. Some sort of envy or tension, creative tension.
You've always heard rumours of a power struggle.
Well, Elmo came late to the show. Elmo didn't exist when I was a kid.
Young and popular, up against the old warhorse Big Bird.
Tickle me, Elmo. Wanna tickle me, Big Bird, or tickle me, Oscar.
Yeah, it's a tale as old
tickle
as
me,
time.
the Count.
Jealousy in the entertainment industry.
That's right, exactly. Elmo's a blow-in.
Mark from Glenside said Big Bird's out of sorts. He was in an all-night discussion with the SA government on how to fix congestion on the southeastern freeway. He looked like he might have been stuck in Dipty for 24 hours.
I reckon it's highly debatable as to do a better job, him or Corey Wingard. I think Big Bird could have come up with the idea of having a tow truck permanently on standby when the road's down to one lane.
Maybe once he got it solved, he came back. 8223 0000.
Well, the announcement was only made yesterday.
Exactly right. You can text us on the Telstra Storm Out Barker text line 044808 1395. Where has he been? Let us know your theory. 16 and above getting COVID vaccine in the US from now means 221 million Americans.
Big Bird was in Sesame Street for 11 years before Elmo, 1969 to 1980.
Now, I think this may be a hostile takeover.
Yeah, one other question is, if Big Bird's in Adelaide, where is Mr. Snuffleupagus?
Well, I mean, he's been... When will he break his silence? You'd think a long-term friend of Big Bird might have spoken up by now. Everyone's a suspect.
That's the whole point. You never see him.
Yeah,
true. If you ask for Mr. Snuffleupagus to publicly defend Big Bird, you're never going to see him,
right? Yeah.
It's an existential question, that one. It does your head in. Actually, I'm just starting to think about it. I'm trying not to now.
Yeah, don't.
Too confusing.
23 after 6.
For over 36 years, Steinborner certified cars has always exceeded expectations on value, service and selection, and that continues. That's why it's always well worth a trip to Steinborner certified cars in Gawler, Nuriotpa and Clare for great deals on new and demo Hyundai, Ford and Mitsubishis, plus SA's biggest and best range of used cars. Make the trip to one of Steinborner's 8 dealerships or view the whole range of cars now at steinborner.com.au and join the thousands who know. Steinborner certified cars. It's well worth the trip.
Eye health, unhealthy living. thanks to Specsavers.
Grishma Patel is an optometrist.
Good evening.
What is a cataract?
So we have a lens inside of our eye that needs to be clear for us to see well. Cataract occurs when cloudy patches develop on this lens and it stops light from reaching the back of the eye. So the symptoms would be blurry and cloudy or misty vision, or patches where your vision is less clear.
So what's actually causing the cataract, and who's the most likely person who's going to get one?
Usually we notice this in the ageing population, so most people are at risk of developing cataract as they get older, and certain health conditions, especially with diabetes, we tend to see an increased chance of developing cataract. And if you've got a family history of cataracts, you do have a chance that you would develop a cataract early too.
Specsavers, where every eye test includes an OCT advanced 3D eye scan at no extra charge.
Here's your cuppa, Bev.
Thanks, Barry. Looks like the neighbours are clearing out early.
Bev and Barry are grey nomads. They love a roadside campsite, a cuppa in the morning, and watching the other adventurers come and go.
Hey, Barry, looks like they're getting pretty close to that tree.
Oh, they'll need to visit Walker Crash Repairs, Bev. You can always relax on the road with Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
Our healthcare system is at breaking point, with nurses and midwives struggling to cope. Just trying to provide the level of care you deserve has left them stressed, tired and emotionally burnt out. 3 years into its term, the Marshall government has failed to keep its promise to fix the chronic healthcare issues. With the community at risk, it's time for urgent action. We all deserve healthcare we can rely on. Visit actionforhealth.com.au.
Authorised and spoken by EDABARS, Australian Nursing and Midwifery Federation, SA Branch, Ridleyton. 5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
26 minutes after 6. Tom Wren in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. 3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company in your supermarket now. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, David. Morning, Will. Boys, plenty happening with regards to football at the moment. Lots happening with Big Bird. It's all going on at the moment. That's what a great story.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
The Big Bird Bandits, the self-proclaimed.
You should see the theories that we can't read out on air, Rennie, from listeners who think they know what he might have been up to the last 24 hours.
Well, Big Bird...
Some real sordid stuff, apparently.
Big Bird is a bit of a freaky character. So
yeah,
I mean, Big Bird's...
it turns out. Yeah. He's got a dark side.
And it's not the Sticky Bandits from Home Alone. It's the Big Bird Bandits.
Yeah, that's right.
Who've taken him.
Someone said he might have been hanging around with Winky Dink. That's what Steve in Valley View said. The mind boggles.
Goodness.
What these people dressed as birds
you
get
know
up to in their spare time.
Could be a spin-off show out of this, maybe. Who knows?
A lot going on with your outfit too, Tom. I love
it's a bit loud, isn't it?
It's excellent.
Yeah.
If you're going to play golf, you might as well make a visual spectacle of yourself.
You might as well look the part. If you can't play the part, look the part.
Yeah, it's excellent. I love that. The Argyle knit jumper, the sort of neon polo shirt.
Yeah.
Where are you playing? Tea Tree Gully?
Tea Tree Gully. Yeah,
excellent.
The home course.
So
looking forward to it. Boys, a bit happening with regards to the AFLW. Last night, well done to Kiara Bowers and also Bree Davey winning the AFLW Best and Fairest Award. And Danielle Ponta took out Mark of the Year. What a great mark that was earlier in the season, running back with a flight. Outstanding stuff from her. 3 players from the Crows named in the All-Australian side as well. Sarah Allen, Ebony Marinoff, Erin Phillips. But I wanted to talk this morning about the European Super League. We've followed the story for the last couple of days. Yeah, and
so it's all crashing and burning right now.
Well, this is it. So it's taken another twist in the last 12 hours or so. Effectively, the players, I think, have just said, no way. This isn't happening. Never in the tea leaves. And I think the depth of angst has been so strong that now the 12 clubs are meeting tonight. But from what we're hearing, Manchester City is out.
Chelsea's out. Yeah.
Barcelona is out. The Manchester United chairman has resigned. It is literally all falling apart at the moment.
I even read that some of the owners, the American owners, I think of is it Chelsea? No, they're owned by that Russian guy. Anyway, some of the American owners of some of these clubs are apparently at the point where they're saying, we're just going to sell the clubs.
Liverpool.
Yep. Yeah, right. Because they just think, and doesn't that confirm that they just regard them as a as a money-generating device.
100%. That's the Fenway Sports Group from Boston that I think have also got the Boston Red Sox. It's like a big conglomerate.
So they wanted to turn European football into like gridiron, where rich people buy and own.
Well,
clubs.
That's always been the case. Rich people always buy and own clubs in Europe. What they've never tried to do, though, is go outside the structure of competition. Where, like, the beauty of, the thing I think is best about soccer in Europe and around the world is the idea that you could be the Parks football side at the end of your street, but you play in the same tiered structure as Barcelona does. You could play them eventually one day. If you work your way up through the divisions, you're all part of the same ecosystem.
Well, this is it.
And to say, we're going to do something outside that because we own these clubs and they have a divine right to playing against the best, that's crap. And it's fantastic that the people have spoken. There was a really nice banner I saw this morning from people. It may have been outside Manchester City protesting, saying, you can't steal our cold nights in Stoke. And I reckon that goes to the heart of this. So much about the competition is you travelling on the underground of the train and being able to go and see your team play in the next town or suburb across. It's not the idea that can be taken from you and effectively kicked out of your country to go play in some other lofty, stupid competition that's been invented by people who have no connection to your part of the world. I hope the whole thing crashes and burns because it's a disgrace.
And look, soccer does need an overhaul, and there are huge problems with FIFA and UEFA and the cuts they get. But you know what? You're absolutely right. Nip this one in the bud first, and then worry about other issues afterwards. And you're also, to your point, West Ham are in the top 4 this season. They could play Champions League next season. That's right. Who would have thought that? Leicester,
but what's
remember
actually
them.
wrong with the Champions League anyway? I think the standard.
Oh, it's brilliant.
It's often even better than the World Cup because you can have the absolute cream of the crop in some of these clubs all playing together. Whereas when you look at a national side like, I don't know, Portugal. I mean, Portugal's, without Ronaldo, just another football club.
I think that standard of that league is better than matches you get at the World Cup, 100%, because you get the best of the best playing against each other in really good teams. I think the issue is, and the criticism why they want to do this is FIFA and UEFA, who aren't overly clean with their track record. They take massive cuts out of, what the clubs are entitled to. So that's why I think these clubs have decided to do this, but it's not the right way they're going
and it's
about it.
Look, you know what it is? It's the classic reasoning of big business people who say the flaw in our business model is that sometimes we don't qualify for the Champions League. Liverpool are 6th, Arsenal are 9th. Wouldn't it be nice if they just made it every year?
Yeah, that's right.
That's unfortunately there's this little thing in sport called the scoreboard, and that kind of matters, and it's the whole point.
You have to perform.
Exactly right. Good on you, Rennie.
Good on you, boys.
Thanks, Tom. Good luck today on the course, mate.
Yeah.
See the ball, be the ball. Gungala, gungala.
We'll have to talk about best golf movies one time.
Oh, yeah, that could take a while.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Tom Wren does. So does the FIVEaa Milk Company, South Australian and proud of it.
This is Adelaide's FIVEaa.
A possible late shower today in 18 with the 6:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
The jury has reached a verdict in the murder trial for former police officer Derek Chauvin, accused of killing George Floyd in Minneapolis last year. The result, after 10 hours of deliberations, is due to be read out in an open court any time now. Large crowds have gathered outside the courthouse. Among them is Courtney Ross, George Floyd's girlfriend. Businesses are on standby for demonstrations in the wake of the verdict. Well, Big Bird is back in the neighbourhood. The missing costume was dumped at the Benithan Park site of the Sesame Street Circus in the early hours of this morning after the self-proclaimed Big Bird bandits left him propped up against an electrical box with a note. 7 News reporter Peter Caldecott telling David and Will circus organisers are very relieved.
But the bird is back. It's in great shape, and it's a very valuable bird. They're saying up to $160,000. So the people here at the circus are just overjoyed to have him back.
The Union for Fast Food Workers has lodged legal action against another SA McDonald's franchisee. 55 current and former crew members are chasing financial compensation after they were denied paid rest breaks. The union's Josh Peake says breaks are a right for all fast food workers.
It's unlawful to deny workers entitlements under these agreements, and not only is this just a once-off, did they just not give a couple of workers a break here and there? What we're going to be alleging is this was systematic, it was deliberate, it was the denial of workplace entitlement that they've got the right to, and McDonald's needs to make good.
Hundreds of millions of dollars will be spent on new renewable energy projects to cut Australia's carbon emissions. Nine's Harry Spicer has the details.
The government has set aside $275 million in next month's budget for 4 new clean hydrogen hubs in regional Australia, which use renewable energy to create hydrogen fuel. A further $260 million will be allocated for carbon capture projects. It's part of the government's technology investment roadmap plan to lower emissions and energy costs.
The EU's drug regulator says blood clots should be listed as a very rare side effect of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. In a statement, the European Medicines Agency says it's found a possible link between the jab and clots, but the benefits of the COVID-19 vaccine still outweigh the risks. There will be subdued celebrations for the Queen as she marks her 95th birthday today. Nine's Carrie-Anne Greenbank is in London.
The Queen's 95th birthday is happening while she's still within her official period of mourning over the loss of Prince Philip, so it will be a low-key affair. But British media are reporting Queen Elizabeth won't be alone. Instead, she is expected to receive a number of visits from family members and phone calls from others. For only the second time in her reign, there will be no gun salute for her birthday. And trooping the colour, that impressive royal procession, that has also been cancelled for her official birthday in June, in line with COVID restrictions. As for Prince Harry, well, it's still unknown whether he'll attend his grandmother's birthday.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. The AFLW Best and Fairest Award has been shared between Collingwood skipper Brianna Davey and Fremantle midfielder Kiara Bowers. Anne Hetchard from the Crows finished only a couple of votes back. Meantime, 3 Adelaide players made the All-Australian team. Erin Phillips, Ebony Marinoff and Sarah Allen all making it. Well, a $20,000 fine has been issued to the Magpies after Jordan De Goey and Jeremy Howe used their mobile phones during a game. An integrity investigation found they took their phones from a storage box and contacted family and friends to tell them about their injuries. AFL football operations boss Steve Hocking says the rules are clear.
It's been arrived at by Andrew Dillon and his integrity team, and you know, hence the fine has landed. I think everybody across the AFL industry, within the industry, knows that knows what the rule is. You can't use them.
To tennis, and a great fight back from Aussie Alexei Popyrin after he took out his round of 32 match at the Serbian Open against Argentina's Francisco Cerundolo. He came from a set down to win it in 3. Jordan Thompson also advanced to the second round with a win at the Barcelona Open. And it's almost full time in English Premier League action. Chelsea and Brighton still locked at 0-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
In breaking news, the verdict has just been handed down in the George Floyd murder trial in Minneapolis, and former police officer Derek Chauvin has been found guilty of second-degree murder. The 5AA Breakfast guys will have the latest after we finish. A possible late shower today, 18. Showers easing tomorrow, 19. Right now it's 9 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
22 minutes to 7, as you just heard from Mel Usher and 5AA News. The verdict is in. Derek Chauvin, guilty on all counts. Now, what that means, because some of the terminology you hear, and we'll play some of the judgment that has just been handed down in the last 2 minutes, some of the terminology is different to what we're used to hearing here in Australia. So just so you're clear when you hear this, second-degree murder is the most serious charge he was facing. This is the one where they had to prove that Chauvin was assaulting George Floyd when he caused his death. This one carries a sentence of up to 40 years in jail. Third-degree murder, the jury had to be convinced that he showed a reckless disregard for human life, so it was the next one down. That carried 25 years. Second-degree manslaughter was the next one down.
So he has been found guilty of the most serious of the charges. There's been no downgrading or plea bargaining or anything, which is the thing that would have triggered mass uprisings. The charge is stuck.
And here they are as they happen, and you'll hear explained as as the judge read the verdict.
Members of the jury, I will now read the verdicts as they will appear in the permanent records of the 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota, County of Hennepin, District Court, 4th Judicial District. State of Minnesota Plaintiff versus Derek Michael Chauvin, Defendant. Verdict, Count 1. Court file number 27, CR 20-12646. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to Count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m. Signed, juror foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 2. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 2, third-degree murder, perpetrating an eminently dangerous act, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Signed by jury foreperson, juror number 19. Same caption, verdict count 3. We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 3, second-degree manslaughter, culpable negligence, creating an unreasonable risk, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:45 p.m. Jury foreperson 019. Members of the jury, I'm now going to ask you individually if these are your true and correct verdicts. Please.
So that was the moment that happened in just the last 5 minutes.
As we were playing that, Derek Chauvin has now been led away. Judge, he was blinking infrequently, staring directly at the judge, showing no emotion. He didn't gasp. He didn't look like he was on the brink of tears. He was wholly composed, and he's now been taken away as a convicted killer in handcuffs.
Sentencing will take place in 8 weeks. Not sure if those, though. He was found guilty on all 3 charges. Don't know if they couple them or just take the most serious. And the maximum sentence for the most serious is 40 years. So it becomes a fairly academic exercise anyway. The thing that is significant in history is this: it's the first time in Minnesota state history that a white police officer has been found guilty for killing a black person.
Hmm. And also, when you think back to the Rodney King riots and the manner in which the police in that case were acquitted, triggering days of violent, deadly protest across south central LA, spreading to other parts, particularly cities with big African American communities like Detroit and what have you, Chicago. For African American people who have gathered already in their hundreds outside the courtroom and in smaller numbers in other parts of America, they'll be going at last.
Mm.
Interesting to look at the composition of the jury. There was an original pool of 15. One was like the emergency in case someone pulled out, and then there were 2 others who were on the bench in the event that there was some challenge from either the defence or the prosecution, meaning that somebody had to be subbed in. But 12 people, 5 men, 7 women, 6 of them white, 4 of them black, 2 of them multiracial, so Hispanic or Asian or what have you, and huge weight on their shoulders, and this is their verdict.
18 minutes to 7, 8223 0000 is the number that you can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line. What we will do is endeavour to get to the US for you before the end of the program today, just to get a sense of what the response is in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and around the rest of the country. So stay listening. We'll get to the fallout from the verdict. Guilty on all charges, Derek Chauvin, a little bit later on 5AA Breakfast. Let's check traffic now for the first time this morning, thanks to Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotterhonda.com.au.
Good morning at Fullerton Road near Wattle Street. There's a burst water main there. That's in the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city. Roadworks in place there. Getting busy already this morning. The Southern Expressway onto South Road at Tonsley and the Goodwood Door Springbank Road intersection at Door Park. That's causing some delays this morning. A few detours in place and some other roadworks to keep in mind. Mount Osmond, the freeway up track. Left-hand lane is closed. That means speed restrictions both ways and a couple of speed cameras. Bicentennial Drive, Golden Grove, Brighton Road, Brighton. The Jeep demonstrator event is now on. Visit your nearest dealership today for offers across selected Compass, Cherokee and Gladiator models. Ends this Tuesday. T's and C's apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
As a small to medium business owner, you need a vehicle fleet that is fit for purpose. The new Nissan Navara is the ultimate workhorse, built tough to handle the harshest conditions. Packed with the latest intelligent safety and driving assistance tech, the new Nissan Navara is the ideal addition to your fleet. Let your local Nissan Fleet dealer tailor a vehicle solution that's right for you and your business needs. Visit your local Nissan dealer or search Nissan Fleet today.
Major road resurfacing works on the South Eastern Freeway between the Toll Gate and Hyson tunnels will be underway until mid-2021. Motorists should expect delays, so allow extra travel time. Visit dit.sa.gov.au/SE Freeway. A message from the Government of South Australia.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Are you missing live motorsport and ready to see some high-octane excitement? How about a weekend filled with motorsport action? Supercars, V8 super utes, roll racing, karting and more. Wouldn't it be great if there was an international award-winning motorsport facility where you can catch all the action with park and view, trackside camping, or from grandstands with friends and family? What are you waiting for? Supercars are back at the Ben Motorsport Park. May 7 to 9 for the OTR Super Sprint. Tickets on sale now at thebend.com.au.
This week at Foodland, Valia yogurt 900 grams, half price, just $2.90 till April 27 while stocks last.
Foodland, the mighty South Aussies, yeah.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
14 minutes to 7. Big news before the break. Verdict in the trial of Derek Chauvin. He is found guilty on all counts, and as such, the 45-year-old is facing 40 years in prison to be sentenced in some 8 weeks. Now, we have had some technical difficulties, David, with the 5AA Facebook and YouTube live stream in the last 5 minutes, but given we're a private company and this is not the South Eastern Freeway, we managed to fix it within 5 minutes. So it's all back up and running now, and you can jump on Facebook and YouTube and watch along right over the course of the morning.
Excellent.
Let's check in with SAPOL. Senior Constable Matt Brown's on the line. Morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're good, thanks, Matt.
So a stolen car has been set alight at Clovelly Park.
That's right. Just after 3:20am today, police and MFS crews were called to Percy Avenue in Clovelly Park, where a black SS Holden Commodore was on fire. Now, fire crews extinguished the blaze, which caused extensive damage to the car, and checks revealed it had been stolen within the last 24 hours from a South Brighton address. So I ask anyone who may have seen suspicious activity in the Clovelly Park area to call Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
And Matt, also the big crime story of the morning. Big Bird returned overnight. What's the latest?
Well, that's right. We were all set to do a press conference with Detective Superintendent Des Bray from Major Crime, but we'll put that on hold for now. But yes, good news. The bright yellow Big Bird costume, which was recently stolen from a circus at Theberton, has been returned the early hours of this morning. Just after 5am, police patrols were called to Port Road after 2 males wearing dark clothing were seen carrying what appeared to be the stolen costume. And it was dumped near the southwestern end of the circus next to an electricity box, with the 2 males then running off back across Port Road. And patrols converged on the area and secured the stolen costume, which contained a letter of apology in the beak. Now, patrols searched the area, including police dog patrol, but unfortunately the 2 men weren't located. And the costume appears to be intact and has been returned to its rightful owners. And the investigation into the theft, which occurred sometime between Sunday afternoon on the 18th of April and Monday morning on the 19th of April, is ongoing. Now, of course, the suspects, if they're apprehended, could face 1 count of theft or 2 counts of theft.
Oh, that's some of your best work ever, Matt. Hey,
well, that was set up by my colleague Mick Abbott, so it's a 1-2 punch, really.
It was 60% was in the delivery, Matt.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, Matt, in all seriousness, is there are police going to release the note? Like, I'm interested to hear the actual wording of it. Was it a long note? Do you know?
Well, there is a photo of it on our Facebook page and our website as well.
I'll get it up.
Yep,
Get it up.
absolutely. I can read it out for you if you'd like. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, actually, if you can, Matt, that'd be great.
Yep. Well, the note that was in the beak of the costume says, "We are so sorry. We had no idea what we were doing or what our actions would cause. We were just having a rough time and we're trying to cheer ourselves up. We had a great time with Mr. Bird. He's a great guy and no harm came to our friend. Sorry to be such a big burden." And that's BIRDEN.
Hang on. Based on everything you've told us the last 5 minutes, is Mick Abbott a suspect?
That's right. A person of interest, that's right.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
And down the bottom it's signed sincerely the Big Bird Bandits.
Is it handwritten or is it printed?
No,
was it printed
handwritten.
out?
Handwritten.
Have you got like handwriting analysts on it?
It's in the lab as we speak.
Okay, good. Excellent.
And Matt, in all seriousness, would police still charge the people if they caught them?
Well, absolutely. It's theft.
Yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
Good work.
Fair enough.
Well, it's a good result for the people that run the business at very least, and we're delighted for that. Good on you, Matt.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cheers, Constable Matt Brown from SAPOL. The senior forecaster at the Bureau this morning is Brett Gage. Brett, good morning to you. It felt cool this morning.
Yes, it has been cold. Yeah, I think Joel Garner will be pretty happy about Big Bird being Better text him, I think.
We're gonna cross to Jamaica later in the program.
Yeah. Yeah, he would have needed the costume if he was here last night. It was cold. It was
absolutely.
Got down to 6.4 at 1:48 a.m. It's currently 9.2 in the city. It was a little bit colder than that in the northern suburbs. Got down to 4 degrees at Parafield.
4?
Yeah, only 4.
Jeez.
So it's getting chilly. But heading for a top of just 18 today with that cold start, and it is going to become cloudy during the day. And only a slight chance of a shower in the late evening. That's ahead of a cold front moving through tomorrow morning, bringing us a high chance of showers, most likely in the morning. 1 to 3 millimetres expected tomorrow with a top of 19. And out on the waters today, we've got variable winds below 10 knots, tending northerly around 10 knots in the late morning, and then turning westerly 10 to 15 knots in the afternoon. A little bit fresher for tomorrow, westerlies of 15 to 20 knots, turning southwesterly with that front in the morning. Then it will remain on the mild side behind that front, a shower or two in the top of 20 for Friday. And then just a slight chance of a shower for Saturday, top of 20 degrees. And then we're looking at 3 dry days coming up after that, with tops of 21 for Sunday, 22 for Monday and Tuesday.
Beautiful stuff.
Good on you, Brett.
Good for Anzac Day.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Magnificent. Brett Gage, senior forecaster at the Weather Bureau. 8 to 7. Lots of theories still coming in on the disappearance of Big Bird and the culpability of some of his colleagues, or indeed some of his motivations for just having a 24-hour jaunt around the town.
I like this one. I have a feeling Big Bird watched you on the Facebook live stream last Thursday and saw how sharp you looked, Will, so he got himself fitted out by Peter Shearer's menswear. I've been away for a few days, and while I was away, my wife hit the city with her friends for a girls' night out, and I've come home last night to find some big yellow feathers in the bedroom.
Well, that takes some explaining.
Yeah,
These look like they belong to a giant bird entertainer.
See, I don't know what the alternative explanation is. It was like, no. It wasn't Big Bird. I was just wearing a giant yellow feather boa, as I do sometimes.
It's not bad.
Andrew thinks... rumour has it Big Bird was just hanging for a yumbo.
Well, they coincide, don't they? His disappearance with the return of the yumbo.
He'd probably like the seeds on the sesame seed bun.
Pecking away at a yumbo somewhere for the last 24 hours.
That's right. One here from Kelly in Clapham. She says, not in Clapham, from Clapham. She's not in Clapham now. Good morning, boys. We are listening to you on the way to the Olgas in the Northern Territory. Great to hear Big Bird is home safely. Have a great day. Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely.
Couldn't be happier about Big Bird.
7 to 7.
Do you like it fancy? Are you a 12-year-old single malt whiskey neat type? Or do you prefer a 6-pack of rum and coke? Are you a fancy craft brewed pale ale type? Or just after a box of beers for the party? Are you looking for a fancy French champagne as a gift? Or a good cheap red for Friday night pizzas? Whatever you fancy, you'll find it at FIVEaa. FIVEaa, your local independent SA family liquor stores.
Nothing beats that new car experience, and you'll still be feeling it long after you drive away in a new Kluger 7-seat hybrid SUV from Jarvis Toyota. With all-wheel drive hybrid power and intelligent safety technology, the Kluger is where freedom meets family. The buzz around the new Kluger is huge, so register your interest at Jarvis Toyota, Clovelly Park today. Rediscover the road in the all-new Toyota Kluger Hybrid at Jarvis Toyota, South Road, Clovelly Park, proudly celebrating 20 years of great deals.
Now, if there's one thing we'd all like in retirement, that is to live comfortably and affordably in a welcoming, vibrant community.
And thanks to our wonderful friends at Southern Cross Care, you can do just that.
Southern Cross Care offer affordable retirement living options, including their well-appointed, beautifully refurbished one-bedroom units. They feature open-plan living, modern kitchens, spacious bathrooms, reverse cycle aircon, and with access to Southern Cross Care's range of services.
You could be part of the Southern Cross Care community in Paraka in one of these wonderful one-bedroom homes for only $70,000, or at O'Grady Court, North Plimpton, for from $85,900.
For more information about these lovely properties, visit southerncrosscare.com.au or call 1800 852 772. That number again, 1800 852 772.
South Australians have done a great job in helping stop the spread of COVID-19. Now, with the arrival of effective vaccines proven safe around the world, we all need to roll up our sleeves. To protect our loved ones, keep our businesses open, keep celebrating with family and friends, and to travel again. Roll up when it's your turn to get vaccinated. For more information, visit covidvaccine.sa.gov.au.
A message from the Government of South Australia.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
4 minutes to 7, we will cross to the US at some point over the course of the program to get the reaction to the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial. Found guilty on all 3 counts, facing 40 years in jail for the most serious second-degree murder. That's more on that coming up on the show. We'll flash back with Michael Smith after 7. Sean Fuster is on the program, and then a little bit later, Tom Dudo from the Adelaide Football Club and the Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens. Maybe we might know more about the Big Bird theft after that point in the morning.
I'm sure that the Commissioner was paying close attention to it. It's one of those sort of mega cases that as Commissioner you'd be across.
Oh, he would be getting daily briefings.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only been
probably hourly.
Yeah, hourly. You're right, hourly briefings.
Yeah.
We had a story in news headlines this morning about this is a second McDonald's franchisee being sued for denying paid breaks, not giving. I mean, these be young people under the age of 18 that work at your average McDonald's, and you're meant to get a 10-minute drink break every 4 hours of your shift, and some were getting no breaks whatsoever. Made me think. So I think there's not that this is defensible in this context, but sometimes you get hardened up by your first job.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I reckon there are people that would probably have. Who reckons they had Adelaide's worst first job? 82230000 or text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line.
See, I reckon there's a happy medium between deploying children into the salt mines or making them work in steam-powered factories that proliferated in northern England in the later part of the 18th century, versus someone going to Dennis Denuto lawyers to crawl back through the entrails of their leave entitlement to the age of 15 or 16 to go, I'm permanently and irreparably emotionally scarred from the fact that I didn't get a drinks break 4 times in 2011. My job working at the Central Market was excellent. And Steph was a great boss. I used to get regular breaks. And I used to love it because you walk around the whole market and I might go and get a Luxor. Or I might just go and grab a roll from one of my mates at that little bakery and go and stuff it with prosciutto.
Just while you're on the clock?
No, well, as I said, I'd get breaks. But the market, though, it was a pretty loose sort of an operation.
Yeah.
Like it was the place health and safety forgot when I worked there. I can remember falling all the way down a flight of wooden stairs while holding a 20-kilogram sack of spuds on my shoulder.
Oh.
I can remember another guy getting hit by a forklift. I can remember another guy trimming cauliflowers, almost cutting clear through his wrist. Didn't work for us, worked for another fruit shop.
This is why there's yellow tape everywhere now.
Yeah.
Stories like this.
Oh, it was a hardcore place to work. You'd kill yourself. We used to load 2 tons of watermelons in summer and stand on the truck just chucking them at each other. It was like the world's craziest workout. Never been fitter than when I worked there.
John at Ingle Farms called in. John, do you think you had the worst first job in Adelaide?
It's up there, gentlemen. Yeah, I was down at a macro meets. I was about 70 kg. I pretty much had to run around the shower to get wet, lift an 80-kilo ruse off the semi-trailer, covered in blood, smelling horrendous.
Oh, mate, what a job.
All around.
What a job.
So what, you just sling them over your shoulder? What, do you wear protective gear?
Yeah, we had some white uniforms that we had to wear. And, one time these guys are a lot bigger than me. This one guy upset him and he took the hooks out of the kangaroos and hooked him up on the truck by his clothing. So I was just sitting in the corner, pretty scared.
Was it some sort of initiation?
Yeah, I avoided it somehow, but I got through it. Pretty good.
It's a great call,
Good
John.
call, John.
You're going to take some beating, I suspect. If you think you had the worst first job, give us a call, 8223 You can text us on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line, 0448 08 1395.
Yours was retail, wasn't it? No, hospitality.
I worked at Foodland. They basically had to tell me to stop coming in because I was so bad.
Were you night, Phil?
No, I was during the day, sort of stumbling around as like a little kid that really was just not cut out for it.
Were you a checkout guy?
No, I was on the floor, unpacking stuff.
Oh,
stuffing it up royally most of the time.
Excuse me, Mr. Will, have a nice day. Where would I find the Campbell's chicken stock? And you're like, I think it's aisle 3.
I just shrug. I don't know.
Showing the prodigious work ethic that would hold him in good stead years down the track.
I think that may be a verbatim transcript of what actually happened in my time. Did you come in one day?
Maybe.
Most common first job for people apparently is babysitter. I can't imagine that would be particularly horrifying. It wouldn't be like slinging roos or getting hung up on a butcher's truck. But if you've got first job stories, we'd love to hear them. 8223 0000 the number. 5AA News Time. We're flashing back with Michael Smith shortly.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible late shower today in 18 with the 7 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
The jury in the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former police officer accused of killing George Floyd, has found him guilty on all counts. The death was caught on camera and went viral, sparking Black Lives Matter protests across the globe. Crowds outside the court erupted as the verdict was read, while the 45-year-old Chauvin remained motionless.
We, the jury, in the above entitled matter as to count 1, unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony, find the defendant guilty. This verdict agreed to this 20th day of April 2021 at 1:44 p.m.
Bail was revoked. Chauvin will be sentenced in 8 weeks and is facing 40 years jail. Big Bird has returned, much to the relief of the Sesame Street Circus. He was dumped at Benitham Park in the early hours of this morning, 48 hours after his disappearance. Senior Constable Matt Brown says the so-called Big Bird bandits left a note with their feathered friend.
The note that was in the beak of the costume says, "We are so sorry. We had no idea what we were doing or what our actions would cause. We were just having a rough time and we're trying to cheer ourselves up. We had a great time with Mr. Bird. He's a great guy and no harm came to our friend. Sorry to be such a big burden," and that's BIRDEN.
A stolen car has been torched at Clovelly Park. The SS Holden Commodore was reported alight on Percy Avenue around 3:30 this morning. The vehicle had been taken from an address at South Brighton. Investigations are continuing. A third round of the popular Great State vouchers will be on offer from 9 this morning. The focus will be on tourism experiences, with $50, $100 and $200 vouchers up for grabs. Tourism SA Chief Executive Rodney Harricks says there'll be one via an electronic ballot.
This is a little bit different from the first round. We're opening with a ballot, and so you'll have through until 10 p.m. on Friday night to go on to southaustralia.com and register for a voucher. This is a significant opportunity. There's a wide range of experiences, a really good cross-section.
More than $500 million will be spent on new renewable energy projects to reduce Australia's carbon emissions. The federal government will set aside the money in next month's budget. It will go toward 4 new clean hydrogen hubs and carbon capture projects. The British Prime Minister is warning there will be another wave of coronavirus in the UK at some stage this year. The United Kingdom is still on track to ease the majority of its COVID restrictions on the 21st of June. Boris Johnson says the virus will become part of normal life.
We must, as far as possible, learn to live with this disease as we live with other diseases. We'll be bolstering our defences with booster jabs this autumn, and we'll be continuing with testing.
Apple unveiled a new iMac overnight. Their spring-loaded event also featured a refresh for the iPad Pro and an added colour choice for the iPhone. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Flurio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
And with everything footy, here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, let's start there. Adelaide forward Taylor Walker is expected to be fit to tackle Hawthorn on Sunday. Walker is nursing a niggle with his calf, but head of football Adam Kelly told the club's website he's recovering well.
Yeah, Tex carried a low-grade calf strain into the game on the weekend. Pleasingly, he got through the game fine. That'll be continued to be monitored throughout this week, with the expectation is that he'll play against the Hawks this weekend.
Meantime, the Crows and Hatchard has finished in a tie for 5th in last night's AFLW Best and Fairest award, with Collingwood's Bree Davey and Fremantle's Kiara Bowers joint winners with 15 votes. The new European Super League is being thrown into disarray, with 2 English clubs caving into public pressure to withdraw. The BBC's Andy Swift reports.
After 48 hours of almost ceaseless criticism, the proposed European Super League is starting to crack. First it emerged Chelsea were preparing to withdraw, news which sparked delight among their hundreds of fans protesting outside Stamford Bridge. And Manchester City are also pulling out, just hours after their manager Pep Guardiola said the format of the new league was not sport.
Meantime, Chelsea's clinging to 4th place on the English Premier League table following a 0-0 draw against Brighton this morning. They're only goal difference ahead of West Ham, who are currently 5th. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Look out for praying this morning at Christie's Downs, Beach Road near Goldsmith Drive. 3 cars involved there. At Fullerton, there's a burst water main on Fullerton Road. It's near Wattle Street. It's in the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city. Look out for roadworks there. Getting busy on the drive-in Southern Expressway to South Road at Tonsley, and Main North Road, Salisbury East as you're approaching Kings Road. A couple of speed cameras too. Main Road, Belair, and Milne Road, Modbury Heights. Does your bed feel as cramped as peak hour traffic? Well, right now at 40 Winks, you can get any size mattress for the price of a single. Hurry, limited time only. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
18 today with a possible late shower. Showers easing tomorrow, 19. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
Big Bird has been returned in the middle of the night. Now, we don't know where Big Bird was.
Amazing story and a great result. I think, as we said the other day, it sounded all along like this was some sort of drunken prank.
The Big Bird was sort of found slumped up against one of these electrical boxes. He looks less kidnapped than he does recovering from a big night.
Yeah, he looks like he should be holding the Euros, doesn't he? And a large Farmers Unionised coffee.
The verdict is in. Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts.
Derek Chauvin has now been led away out of the courtroom in handcuffs.
Sentencing will take place in 8 weeks. Found guilty on all 3 charges. Don't know if they couple them or just take the most serious. And the maximum sentence for the most serious is 40 years. So it becomes a fairly academic exercise anyway. The thing that is significant in history is this. It's the first time in Minnesota state history that a white police officer has been found guilty for killing a black person.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 7, massive news in the first hour of the show, both in Adelaide and indeed right around the world. We've also got talking about another McDonald's franchise that's under investigation for not giving employees their appropriate drink breaks. It's got us talking about toughest first jobs. Still getting some terrific stories in on the Telstra Storm Mount Barker text line. Chris in Bowden says, I got paid 1 cent per carrot I peeled at my parents' restaurant. 1 cent. It was supposed to teach me to be fast. I peeled 100, then went to the local chicken shop and played Space Invaders 5 times. That's fantastic, Chris.
I want to know, did Chris go back after that and resume the job?
Well, that's a great question. Maybe you let us know.
1 cent per
1
carrot.
cent per carrot. That's an incentive
A
program.
lot of carrots.
Anne says, hi, Will and Dave. Opening day of Target Newton Groceries. Me was a 15-year-old confronted by a flood of customers charging in store, told by boss, block this aisle to funnel them through. Ha! I had to slide to the side, confronted with a wall of shopping nonnas. I wasn't going to stand in their way. Got shouted at right royally. Did I survive unscarred? Yep. Good on you, Anne. That's excellent. I want to talk about Anzac Day. There was a lot of conjecture earlier in the year about what could go along in the context of a COVID-safe environment. But at its heart, Katarina sent us a message on the 5AA Facebook live stream this morning that sort of shoots home in what this weekend and what this commemoration is all about. She says, this weekend we commemorate people who went to war, many who never made it past 19 or 20. My mother-in-law's uncle, a big boy for his age, fudged his age to go to World War II. He died before he was 17. Before he was 17.
It's just staggering, isn't it?
10 after 7. Jared is the secretary of the Morphettvale RSL, one of those that were going to, for a time, look like having real cut-down numbers at this weekend's Anzac Day service. Jared, good morning to you. What's the latest on the Morphettvale RSL service?
Morning, gents. Well, finally, it's taken, 4 weeks of all this to get a COVID management plan approved for us. So we've been approved now to have 7,000 people, which is definitely going to be the largest in the state and probably one of the largest in the country.
Well, that's good news, Jared. Well, the maximum number, well, the normal number that you get is about 17,000, isn't it, from memory?
Normally around 17,000 we get in attendance. So 7,000 for us is we're happy with. Obviously, it gives the opportunity for most of the community to come down. We'll live stream it all as well through our website, so people that can't get in can certainly still watch it and observe the commemoration service.
So what did you have to do to prove it was COVID safe?
We've got to fence it, put a fence up. We have to have pods inside. We have to have security guards and COVID marshals. So I've had to employ 35 security guards to come in to ensure that we're COVID safe. We had to submit our plan 4 times. It kept getting rejected each time. One of the funny ones was the 3rd time we submitted it, they actually completed it on our behalf because I said, this is getting too stressful for us. We're giving in. So they filled it in and they still rejected it. So we finally got that line.
You're joking.
No, it was filled in by someone at SA Health and it was still rejected. So we finally got it over the line late last week. The police signed off on all of our other traffic management and fencing and things this week. So we are good to go now for this Sunday morning.
Who bears the cost of the security guards, Jared?
We're grateful that the government and Veterans SA have stepped in to help cover, as they said, anything that deals with COVID. So the traffic management bill, which went from $5,000 to $16,000, the fencing and the security guards are being picked up by the government and Veterans SA.
So 7,000 people. Does that mean that all the people who, have a genuine link and aren't just the Australians who want to sort of come out and watch the march and the service in solidarity with those who serve? Does that mean that the people in the southern suburbs who are servicemen, service women, service people's families, are they all going to be able to get a spot?
Everyone can attend. All of our members of our RSL sub-branch have got tickets through me, but then the other 6,500 are open to any members of the public that want to log on to Eventbrite and just search for the RSL Morphettvale Dawn service, and they can get a free ticket to attend. It's more designed so that we know how many people are going to be in attendance. So we've got an idea before the morning. Obviously, people that walk up on the day, if we're not at capacity, security will let them through. But we would like everyone to register before they attend.
Yeah, fair enough. Good stuff.
Thank you, Jared. And
thanks, Jared.
That's terrific news. Appreciate coming on this morning.
Guys.
Yeah, no, thanks for. It's been good working with you on this story, Jared. Because I know that the first day looked like nothing was going to happen. You were one of the people who was instrumental in revving this up. So good on you.
We got there eventually.
We did, absolutely. Cheers, mate.
Jared's the secretary of the Morphettvale RSL. I tell you what, does it give you comfort or make you a little bit unnerved at the idea that any brush you've had with the stupidity of bureaucracy was bested by bureaucracy's own brush with itself, where SA Health failed their own COVID management plan form?
Look, I actually think, based on some dealings that I can recall, there's a certain type of person that loves nothing more than going, oh, no, see, that part of the form isn't quite right, is it? You see that little bit there? You didn't do that, did you?
But even so much that person fills out the form and then cancels it themselves.
Surely it wasn't the same person.
Well, maybe not. I like to think it was.
There was some turbocharged pedant higher up the chain. You know, there's a fine line between keeping us all safe and, you know, carrying on like you're some sort of dictator on the basis of the fact that you've been afforded a bit of power, isn't there? It's just pathetic.
It looks all the more glaring at a time too when we're talking this week, and we'll probably have an announcement about 100% crowd capacity
showdowns and so
Adelaide
on.
Oval.
Yeah.
It's 14 minutes after 7. I'll tell you what, if you can beat a story of just bureaucracy gone wrong, then SA Health filling out their own COVID management form and then rejecting it, I'd love to hear it. 8223 0000 or text us on the Telstra Store Mount Barker text line 0448 08 1395. Let's check traffic thanks to Dave Potter. Enjoy huge savings and factory bonuses on the 2021 CRV at Australia's #1. That's Dave Potter Honda.
Look out for a praying at Christie Downs, Beach Road near Goldsmith Drive. 3 cars involved there. At Fullerton, there's a burst waterway this morning. That's Fullerton Road near Wattle Street. It's in the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city. Just look out for roadworks there. And getting busy for the drive-in this morning. Southern Expressway to South Road. That's at Tonsley there. And Salisbury East, Main North Road as you're approaching Kings Road for those works. They're slowing things down for the drive-in. A few speed cameras this morning. Blythewood Road, Torrance Park, and Cavan Road at Dry Creek. Adelaide, it's a fact. Everyone is driving their car more. Let UltraTunes mechanics ensure your car is trouble-free and safe for the road. Search UltraTune for a service centre near you. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Leon Biner.
Yesterday on the Southeastern Freeway, it was a bloody mess. A damn mess. And you know, freeways are not new. Everyone's got them. Other cities have many more than us. They seem to be able to handle a breakdown. We don't.
9 till 12 weekdays.
The chaos can be avoided, and if not, it can be remedied much more quickly. But of course, it's the question of whether the minister has the will.
On 5AA.
The new Nissan Navara is the ultimate work vehicle, built tough with advanced tech to get the job done. Speak to your local Nissan fleet experts today about tailoring a vehicle solution for your business needs.
This commercial really should have your business name in it, because it'll be heard a lot over 2 weeks. On the way to work, dropping the kids at school and picking them up. You'll hear it on the drive home too. It's part of the 5AA branding program, designed to get your business maximum exposure for minimal bucks. And it works, because you, along with thousands of others, are hearing it right now. Visit 5AA.com.au and replace this commercial with your commercial.
Now, South Australians love a good Chardonnay. It's one of the most widely planted grape varieties in Australia. It thrives in the Adelaide Hills, so the Adelaide Hills wine region invites you to join in on Chardonnay May.
That's right. Throughout May, head up to the hills to enjoy the explosion of autumn hues as the trees and vines change colour. Try wine flights at here are some good-sounding wineries. Lobethal Road, Ashton Hills, Shaw and Smith, the home of the M3 Chardonnay, yum. Murdoch Hill, excellent Chardonnay, and Deviation Road, another cracker, just to name a few.
If you're looking to book in something special for Mother's Day, there are several wineries hosting lunches with a focus on Chardonnay. Now, that includes Mount Lofty Ranges Vineyard, The Lane, love The Lane, Barrister's Block, and more.
And certainly there, Barrister's Block, one of the many Hills wineries that was smashed by the bushfires last year and then had to deal with COVID. So do your patriotic duty, folks, and head on up there and patronise these excellent wineries. Dig out your favourite boots and scarf and celebrate the noble Chardonnay this May.
For the complete list of venues and special events, go to chardonnaymay.com.au.
Peter Shearer Menswear is the brand with the brands. For more than 50 years, our experience has put us ahead of the latest fashion trends. Always. As the largest independently owned menswear brand in South Australia, we will match any genuine price on identical items. Always. But most importantly, our staff are helpful, honest, and understand all body shapes are unique. The Peter Shearer Menswear commitment to ensuring customer satisfaction means we give right and honest advice. Always. Peter Shearer Menswear. Rundle Mall, Glenelg, Mount Barker, and online.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
18 minutes after 7. We'll talk sport in just a moment. Some breaking news out of the UK, though. Arsenal have joined Manchester City and Chelsea as withdrawing from the mooted Super League. That seems to be DOA, at least almost entirely now. The English contingent have pulled out. Manchester United lost their Vice-Chancellor, who resigned over their proposed entry, but at least 3 of the big clubs now have said they won't participate.
Well, it can't go ahead.
Well, you would think not.
I mean, what? There's going to be a few Spanish sides and a couple of Italian ones playing each other every Wednesday.
I think some of their owners would say that sounds like a pretty good proposition.
Yes.
All right, we'll get to that in a moment. But first, let's flash back. Michael Smith from 7 News joins us. What do you, Michael?
Good morning, Will and Dave. I'm going to paint a scenario for you this morning that a lot of Adelaide drivers would remember well. Picture this. You're driving calmly south along South Road past the old Mitsubishi site. When you make the mistake of looking at your watch, panic sets in. Your heart starts racing. The adrenaline's flowing. You go past Munros. You go past Flinders. You can see the line. You make it. You cross it like Kathy Freeman at Sydney 2000. You've got to the Southern Expressway before it closes.
Now, Michael, can you do me a favour? Can you remind me what was the changeover rule? Because I can't remember. I always struggle to remember it at the time.
It's a bit like knowing when the Central Market's open, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
It used to be one way in the morning, Monday to Friday to the city, and it was the reverse in the afternoons. But weekends, of course, were different because people weren't working generally on weekends and they were heading down to the South Coast and McLaren Vale and places like that. Looking at the history of the Southern Expressway, it's actually fascinating because it goes right back to the match plan of the 1960s when there was this suggestion of a need for an arterial road down there. It was proposed by the Bannon government with a lot of fanfare, never got off the page. Dean Brown and the Libs promised it at the 93 election, but of course there was a little issue of the state bank collapsing in between. So I've caught up with Diana Laidlaw, who said they came up with this idea of making it one way.
It was made sense too because it was a peak hour problem that we had with the traffic, coming in the morning and going out back home in the afternoon. So we decided with technology that we would advance the possibility of the first reversible road in Australia.
David, you'd be very familiar with the Southern Expressway.
Yeah, I use it a lot. In fact, yesterday I was walking around there and I thought, where are my damn golf clubs? I went, oh no, they're at Aldinga. So I drove to Aldinga and back yesterday, doing a trip that would have been nigh on impossible back in the mid-90s when it opened. Hearing Diana Laidlaw's voice then, Michael, took me back because she was a lovely person. She was the Transport Minister in the Brown government and was sort of the minister who oversaw the project. I remember her saying at the time when people started raising an eyebrow about the fact that we had a one-way road that changed directions, she said, this is going to be the talk of the nation. And she was sort of right, although not necessarily in a good way. People still laugh about it to this day, don't they?
A lot of touring comedians got a lot of shtick out of it for a long time. Now, it took about 17 years before it was finally completed under the Weatherall government, going in both directions. You might remember also there were those stickers in the Brown regime called SA Going All the Way. They might have been more successful if it just said SA Going one way. The problem Diana Laidlaw had was they said, yeah, you can build it, but you've got to find the money within existing transport budget. So it really was a significant challenge. And she said that they even at one stage considered making it a toll road, which of course would have been the first in the state, but that didn't go through Cabinet, and thankfully it's still free.
Yeah, toll roads, we'll never have them in SA.
Well, yeah, not anytime soon. Good on you, Michael.
Great
Thanks,
stuff,
guys.
Michael.
Michael Smith from 7 News, flashing back to the one-way expressway. Getting lots of people flashing back on the Telstra Stormont Barker text line this morning to their horror first jobs. Sue in Christie's Beach says, similar to you, Dave, my first job was at the then Ampol station at Firle, pumping petrol, etc. Loved it. Paid about $50 a week. No official breaks, but even now I don't take breaks, says Sue. Having said that, back then you could wander out to fill up the car with your cigarette. So, different time.
Yes.
This one's really troubling on the text line. My first day as a 16-year-old working in a pharmacy, my first customer came in looking for lice treatment, explained all about head lice treatments, like I knew what I was doing. The person's faking till they make it. No, miss, it's for lice down there, pointing to his groin.
Oh, my God.
Please, Earth, open up and swallow me now. I was so embarrassed. That is a horror first day.
Oh, Sue.
Could you imagine? 16-year-old, you work in a pharmacy, you would get all sorts of people saying things you didn't want to hear about.
Oh,
Sue.
dearie me.
Oh, sorry, not Sue. The person who put their name to it, perhaps they're still...
Anonymous.
Anonymous. Yeah, they don't want to be identified. 23 minutes after 7... let's talk sport because Stephen wrote a terrific interview last night with Kevin Sheedy. Used vehicle stock, always changing at North Point Toyota, Hillcrest Prospect and Port Augusta. It is the North Point way. They spoke about Kevin Sheedy's legacy and Anzac Day footy.
Sheeds, it's Anzac Day weekend, one of your legacies, and there are 3 games this year. Collingwood Essendon, that's the traditional. Crows Hawthorn, that's in Tassie, and Port are playing St Kilda Sunday night. Are you happy with that?
I am, because the one at Melbourne play Richmond is a very important one too, because if you look up the history of a guy called Checker Hughes, that's on the night before, normally. It's so important that you look at this history of this guy, Checker Hughes, is a wonderful Richmond player, premiership coach who went to Melbourne and won premierships. And his career was, I think he won 7 premierships, interrupted by 2 awards. So anybody ever wants to get on their Google or, have a look at this guy's career. I had no problem ever with Melbourne and Richmond playing on the Thursday night or the night before an Anzac Day game. I think it's pretty important that we respect that man's career.
Yeah, a bit like us here with the Peter Badco VC medal.
Yeah.
Port Adelaide have put a lot of effort, a lot of time and a lot of passion into their Anzac round weekend, and they get an Anzac Day one this time. And I'm happy that we play for that Peter Badco medal, but I've never really been happy with the best on ground for the Essendon Collingwood one to be called the Anzac medal. Can you talk us through that?
To me, there is something we could possibly find. I mean,
yeah.
Let's be honest, the RSL and the Australian Defence Force own the word Anzac.
Yes.
So they must have agreed to it.
We've gotten better at doing footy on Anzac Day, I think, over the years.
I've always struggled a bit with some of the language that's used where...
That's what I mean. I don't think we do it as much now.
No, but I can remember so many times hearing, like, soldiers going into battle.
Yeah.
And it's like, no. These aren't soldiers going into battle. These are guys who are good at kicking footballs, playing in front of a large crowd and being paid pretty handsomely for it. This is not the Somme.
I remember one year in the paper, I think it might have been the captains of both sides had sort of, World War II era helmets on. Like they'd graphically added onto them. It threatened being distasteful for a while.
Oh yeah, I actually think it became distasteful.
Now it seems it's a nice accompaniment to the day.
Yeah, I think so. I can remember about 4 years ago going to a Port Sturt game at Unley and reading the ode for the club, and everyone, you could have heard a pin drop, and it was a packed house. It was the day that Sam Powell-Pepper was playing for Port reserves, and but it was until the game started, it was very solemn, and it felt like a nice suburban thing to be doing.
Yeah.
When you're in your own community and you're going, this is nice. This is just people I know, faces I'm familiar with, and everyone's stopping and reflecting and heads down, and I think that is good. But yeah, in the early days where it was seen as a marketing opportunity, it's not a marketing opportunity.
Used vehicle stock always changing at North Point Toyota, Hillcrest Prospect and Port Augusta. It is the North Point way. I wonder if there'll be a valet for the European Super League tonight in the sports show with Stephen Wright.
This is the Mal Meninga of sporting concepts, isn't
really
it? This
is.
has really just come from nowhere and disappeared in record time. Just extraordinary stuff. A good win for grassroots fans. The fact that it's had to basically die a natural and swift death.
Them suggestions that Manchester United may now be out as well. I guess you don't want to just be the last one saying you still think it's a good idea, do you? No. You need to win curry back favour. But certainly there's been public statements from Chelsea and Man City. Arsenal have indicated to journos in the UK theirs is only moments away from coming out. And now there's some murmuring about Manchester United as well, which means the Glazers are out. And again, this another big American family that owns one of these sides that may be just beginning to reckon with what little they know about the culture of the sport in a country they didn't grow up in. 28 minutes after 7, 8223 our number. You can text us on the Telstra Somount Barker text line. We've got Sean Fuster coming up shortly.
3 words your friends and family never like hearing.
We're moving house.
Well, you can always rely on budget truck and car rentals to help out. From 3-ton moving trucks you can drive on a car licence to vans and moving trailers. Budget car and truck rentals make it easy as to move house. Do it right in half the time and save money with budget car and truck rentals. Call 13 27 27.
Pardon?
Sorry? Huh?
What? Pardon?
Sorry? Huh?
What?
Tired of living with the pardon, sorry, huh, and what?
then it's time to stop ignoring the whats, especially with hearing loss linked to other health issues, like dementia. At Audica, we specialise in personal hearing health that's tailored to you. Visit audica.com.au to book your free hearing health check. Be hearing healthy with Audica. Free hearing health check available to adults aged 26 or over.
Don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift, get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For sales, service and hire, get a Toyota forklift.
You might think having thousands of pals is excessive, but that's not what the team at Parafield Airport Liquor Store think, because that's how many they have. Sure, they might be made up of over 100 gins, over 200 whiskies, over 300 craft beers, and over 2,000 boutique wines. But they're some of the best pals you could have, and they're always looking for more, even if they are tricky to track down. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
Right on 7:30, 5AA News on the way. Sean Fuster shortly thereafter. We can confirm story we just mentioned was breaking during the sport. Manchester United will not be participating in the European Super League, which now seems dead on arrival. They say in an official statement from the club, we've listened carefully to the reaction from our fans, the UK government and other key stakeholders. We remain committed to working with others across the football community to come up with sustainable solutions to the long-term challenges facing the game. Back with more on 5AA Breakfast in a moment.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible late shower today in 18 with the 7:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
Former police officer Derek Chauvin has been found guilty of murdering George Floyd and is now facing 40 years jail. The verdict was handed down this morning. Chauvin found guilty on all 3 counts: second-degree murder, third-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. Bail was refused ahead of sentencing in 8 weeks' time. US correspondent Nine's Alison Petrowski says there are emotional scenes on the streets of Minneapolis.
Lots of tears, lots of people hugging strangers openly, because I think the sense was that this wasn't going to happen. A lot of people believed that there was no way that they would find Derek Chauvin guilty on any count, let alone all 3. So just an incredible tension release, I guess you'd say.
Big Bird has been reunited with his mates at the Sesame Street Circus. Senior Constable Matt Brown says he reappeared at Benitham Park in the early hours of this morning, 48 hours after his disappearance.
Just after 5 a.m, police patrols were called to Port Road after 2 males wearing dark clothing were seen carrying what appeared to be the stolen costume, and it was dumped near the southwestern end of the circus next to an electricity box, with the 2 males then running off back across Port Road.
The suspects remain on the run but left a note of apology in Big Bird's beak. Another night, another car fire. An SS Holden Commodore was torched at Clovelly Park this morning. It had been stolen from South Brighton. Another SA McDonald's franchisee is facing legal action over claims workers were denied paid breaks. It's alleged 55 current and former staff were not given rest and drink breaks between March 2015 and October 2020. The union's Josh Peake says it's not good enough.
What they were being told is if you want that paid break, you're not going to be able to go to the toilet or have a drink when you need to, which is simply outrageous. We're drawing a line in the sand here, and these workers who have been denied their breaks deserve compensation for all of that paid time that they weren't paid or given a break for.
More than $500 million will be set aside for new hydrogen and carbon capture projects in this year's federal budget. Nine's Harry Spicer reports from Canberra.
Clean hydrogen uses renewable energy to create fuel. The government will spend $275 million in this year's budget to accelerate the development of 4 hubs in regional Australia, as well as invest a further $260 million in new carbon capture projects. The move will create more than 2,500 jobs and is part of the government's technology investment roadmap plan to reduce emissions and cut energy costs.
We don't celebrate it till June, but today is the Queen's actual birthday. Her Majesty is turning 95. She's expected to spend the day with family. She's still in official mourning following Prince Philip's death earlier this month. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Flurio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
With all the breaking news, here's Tom Wren.
Yeah, thank you, Mel. There's plenty happening, that's for sure. It's been a crazy morning, but it looks like the European Super League is on the verge of collapse, with Manchester City, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham all deciding to withdraw from the controversial competition. And that means all 6 English clubs are saying they are now out. It has, as I say, been a frantic morning, but it appears the fans, coaches and players' anger at the proposed competition will win out this time around. Meantime, on the field, Chelsea and Brighton have played out a 0-0 draw in the English Premier League. To the AFLW, and Kiara Bowers from Fremantle and Bree Davey from Collingwood have won the competition's Best and Fairest award, and Hatchard polling the most votes for the Crows, just 2 votes back in a tie for 5th. Meantime, Brisbane's Dane Zorko's confident he'll sign a new contract in the next couple of months with the club. The 32-year-old captain telling Fox Footy his body's feeling good and he'd love to go around again next year.
Yeah, we're in talks with the club at the moment. Obviously, it was great to see Richie re-sign last week. I'm extremely comfortable up in Brisbane, love it up here, and I think we'll probably see something done in the next month or two, I reckon.
Let's go to cricket. Aussie Steve Smith has helped his side, the Delhi Capitals, to another win in the IPL, which lifts them to 2nd spot on the table. He made 33 as his side cruised to a 6-wicket win.
His 4 bits, though, courtesy of the wristworker Smith. Delightful. That was smart. Very, very smart.
Audio there, thanks to Fox. A good night for the Aussie tennis players, with Alexei Popyrin coming from a set down to win in 3. He also moves into the round of 16 after beating Argentino's Francisco Cerundolo. And Jordan Thompson has also recorded a hard-fought 3-set win against French veteran Richard Gasquet at the Barcelona Open. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
Look out for praying Christie Downs, Beach Road near Goldsmith Drive. 3 cars involved there. At Bolivar, Port Wakefield Road near Hodgson Road, a truck has lost its load. And at Brompton Torrens Road, there's some debris on the road. Also, Fullerton 2 on the drive in. There's a burst water main. That's at Fullerton Road near Wattle Street, the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city this morning. Do you have a Bellissimo body? Then pamper it with the very best. An Australian-made Bellissimo mattress by Macon Mattresses. Nobody makes a better mattress. Nobody. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
Possible late shower today, 18. Showers easing tomorrow, 19. Right now, it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
23 minutes to 8, a little bit earlier in the program, we played for you live the judgment in the Derek Chauvin trial. He found guilty on all 3 charges, will be sentenced in some 8 weeks. Fascinating what the fallout will be and what the feedback has been in the streets of Minneapolis and around the country. Brianna Sachs is in George Floyd Square for BuzzFeed and joins us on 5AA Breakfast now. Brianna, good morning to you.
Good afternoon from Minneapolis.
Thank you so much for joining us, Brianna. The scenes that we are seeing here in Adelaide, Australia, outside the court and in Minneapolis itself look like scenes of jubilation. Is that a fair way to describe it?
Yeah, palpable relief, joy, shock. I think a lot of people were really surprised.
What plans had been made in the city? Because we've seen in the past that when these verdicts have gone another way, there's been huge unrest. Were people sort of expecting that there would have been trouble if he had been found not guilty?
Oh, of course, yeah. Everyone was just on pins and needles, like holding their breath. I was inside the store where Floyd was killed, and the owners were preparing to close the store because they said that they expected the city to erupt and all hell to break loose if he was found not guilty. But this verdict is so rare, and just the fact that we even got a trial like this was really unprecedented. So it's been just an amazing moment, and no one really thought the verdict would come this quickly.
Yeah.
So the moment the verdict came in George Floyd Square, I imagine there were lots of people milling around. Were people watching it on their phones? What was the instant reaction? Did they cheer? Was it loud?
Yeah, I mean, everyone was just it was very tense. Everyone was glued to their phones. The live newscasts were being broadcasted from different outlets. People huddled together watching live streams. And then it got really, really quiet once the verdict was being read. And that first guilty was just like an eruption. People were cheering, crying. They fell to their knees, just holding each other. And then just after that first guilty, it was just kind of like this stunning moment of emotion. And then all counts, it just became like, I think everyone was just shocked that it actually happened that way.
So what do you think will happen next?
Well, I mean, there's hundreds. The George Floyd Square is really just swelled with people. There's hundreds and hundreds, a few hundred. I can't really see to be exactly, but there's going to be a vigil here later, and it just seems like the city has let out a huge collective sigh of relief. And there's speakers here, and they're shouting his name and our streets, and it's just kind of a healing. A lot of people were talking about healing, that this is a moment that can really people can move forward and use to propel forward to keep pushing for justice and equity.
We did a lot of work on our show here in Australia, Brianna, a few years ago when Justine Damon, the Australian woman, was shot dead in Minneapolis. It feels like there has been a recurring problem with violence involving police in your city. Do you think it will change policing? Do you think that this sentence will force a rethink in the way police go about their work?
Well, I'm not from here. I'm just covering it. But Minneapolis and Minnesota, that's what a lot of activists here say, is that there's been so many names that people have never heard of, black people who were killed by police, and that they say that this verdict is so crucial because it shows police that they can be found guilty, which is in the American justice system. It's incredibly rare for a police officer to be convicted in a use of force case. So, I mean, I definitely think that this will have a ripple effect and sends a message that that type of policing will no longer be accepted and protected.
You've done an excellent job documenting with video and photos on your Twitter page, BRI _Sachs, if people want to check it out. One of the things that struck me, one of the images, people throwing money into the air. What was that about?
Yeah, I know. I hadn't seen that before either. I asked an organizer here, and she said that it just was a celebratory thing. And in the South, she said that sometimes, that was kind of just like a celebratory act. And I hadn't seen that before either, and I was curious if it was related to the counterfeit $20 bill that George Floyd had used that day, but I don't think it was.
Okay. Brianna, really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Big occasion in the US.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and thanks for covering it.
Good on you, Brianna.
Brianna Sachs in George Floyd Square for BuzzFeed News. It's worth checking out the pictures. The scenes there are extraordinary, and they are just jubilation at this point. There's no other emotion. There's no other word to describe the setting there. Big court case in the US we're able to watch live. Our go-to man for courts here in South Australia is Sean Fuster, and he'll join us right after this.
The Nissan Juke TI comes with Apple CarPlay and Bose headrest speakers, plus low monthly repayments if you finance with Nissan Future Value. Nissan Juke. Let's improvise. Approved private and ABN applicants only. T's and C's apply.
I'm Kathy Nagel, the Chief Executive of Western Hospital at Henley Beach. 2021 is going to be an exciting year at Western Hospital, with our full range of cardiovascular procedures being offered, including angiograms, pacemaker insertions, and treatments related to poor circulation, including varicose veins. Specialist care is provided by our on-site cardiologists and vascular surgeons, who are supported by our 24/7 intensive care unit. Western Hospital, your hospital that cares. Visit westernhospital.com.au.
Imagine going to the deli section of your supermarket asking for 500 grams of hickory smoked bacon, and they give you a kilo. You get double.
Oh, yes.
Well, guess what? That's what's happening at Westside Energy just without the bacon.
That's right. Sadly, no bacon. You have to get the bacon yourself.
Now I
But
feel like bacon.
Westside Energy, they're the first in South Australia to double your feed-in tariff. Simply have one of their quality home batteries connected to your current solar setup, and they'll arrange to have the current average feed-in tariff doubled.
Well, which I guess means you've got more money to spend on bacon. It
Oh,
also
that's
applies if you've got a whole new solar system and battery installed.
So if you've been looking for a solid reason to go solar with battery, this is it. Get in touch with Westside Energy, double your feed-in tariff, eliminate your current electricity bill. Visit westsideenergy.com.au. Some T's and C's apply.
The Barossa Valley is a great place to visit. You have history, wine, great food, nature, wine. What if you had one extra draw card? Your parents. Retirement units are available in safe and connected neighbourhoods just an hour from the city. We're talking about newly renovated 1, 2 and 3 bedroom homes from around 180k to 300k. They get the vine change and you get another reason to visit the Barossa. Win-win. Talk to your parents today about Barossa Village. Find out more at barossavillage.org.
If you're planning an event, whether it's a small meeting with the latest in reliable technology or a large gala dinner full of glitz and glamour, you'll experience event excellence on every level at the Adelaide Convention Centre. Excellence in understanding your needs and delivering them to exacting standards is what we do. And we don't just aim for excellence, we go beyond. So for your next excellent event, the team is ready and waiting at the Adelaide Convention Centre, the centre of event excellence.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes to 8. We're joined in the 5AA Breakfast studio by Sean Fewster, who got a huge story on the front page of the Tiser this morning. I just wanted to start, though, by asking you, Sean, this is an incredible moment described by our guest in George Floyd Square a moment ago of a whole crowd of people watching and live streaming a court verdict on their phones and it having this huge importance and being this momentous occasion. Will we ever have that similar access, do we think, to major verdicts and things in Australia? Or can you envisage a similar scenario? Or have we had one?
Sorry, I'm trying hard not to just burst out laughing on live radio. No, is the simple answer.
It'll never happen.
If it happens, it will happen for an isolated case where there is enough public groundswell that the Courts Administration Authority realises it needs to let it happen. It has happened in the past for forward thinkers like our former coroner, Mark Johns, who have allowed that sort of thing to happen. But in terms of being allowed to do this as a thing, no, it's not going to happen.
It's a shame because putting aside, I mean, this is momentous, but this is not, the coverage is not abnormal in the US. You can watch these sorts of things. So,
well, jurors become, brief celebrities.
Yeah.
They turn up doing interviews.
I think
and
it
you think about things like the
demystifies
OJ trial. There's people giving running commentary about who's had the best day. Giving evidence.
Well, I think it's sort of, I mean, you do that for us, Sean, when you come in here. It's one of the why we love this segment because it does demystify the whole process for people a little bit.
Absolutely, and the process should be demystified. But no, you're not going to see that happen in a South Australian court anytime soon. I'll be surprised if it happens as a regular thing, not as a one-off special event, any point in my career.
Well, here's a segue for you. If the courts in South Australia think that they are somehow ethereal and untouchable and that they operate on a different plane from the rest of us.
Sorry, if?
Didn't we find out yesterday how base and basic their behaviour can be, that there is nothing particularly special about the legal fraternity when it comes to the question of sexual harassment. Extraordinary report.
Let me answer your question by taking it one step further. A 206-page report that talks about widespread, entrenched, decades-long, systemic sexual harassment, bullying and intimidation within the legal profession going all the way to the top, all the way to judges, with some truly horrific comments made by judges, quoted in the report. I'm not going to say them on radio. You can read them in the Advertiser. They will turn your toes. And the response of the State Courts Administration Council is, well, it's not any sitting judges.
Is that necessarily true? What about the magistrate? Is he retired, has he?
That's a really good question.
Because it's not clear in the report whether...
We have to take them on their word, but my point is, Why is that your response? What does that matter?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether they're still sitting there now. It matters that they were. It matters that there are victims who have been victimised, who have lost their careers in the law, who have been drummed out of the profession by this kind of behaviour. And your tone-deaf response is, well, it's not anybody that's here now. That's literally giving further fuel to the boys' club mentality of, it's okay, it's none of the blokes now.
So there was 600 odd people, about 400 of them women who gave evidence. More than 50% of women working in the legal profession in SA who spoke to the Equal Opportunity Commission said that they had been harassed.
And 13% of blokes as well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. With female partners, generally senior people, hitting them up for affairs and threatening to persecute them if they didn't put out.
The bulk of people of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander identification, the bulk of people of other racial identifications. This is not, I don't mean to minimise at all what women have been through. I just simply want to say that the profession is an equal opportunity offender. You know, if you're not a white straight male.
The most remarkable story I thought in the report, Sean, was during a trial, during a case, a magistrate, while presiding over a case at the magistrate's court, sent a text to a female lawyer in the courtroom.
His clerk,
saying, I'm imagining you currently kneeling down in front of me on the bench. During a case. We don't know what the case was, whether it was an assault or a DUI or... I mean, you know, at the very least, not setting the harassment part of it to one side, but shouldn't you be concentrating on what's actually happening in the courtroom as well?
It shows a level of, as you said, ethereal disconnect, a level of arrogance, this belief that we don't necessarily have to abide by the normal rules of conduct because we're in the profession. I'll tell you something else that annoys me about this entire situation. Since November, sheriff's officers have been saying publicly how they have been harassed, intimidated, bullied by people within the Courts Administration Authority. This report calls out the Courts Administration Authority for its toxic incivility as setting the culture for everyone to follow. The Courts Administration Authority and the Chief Justice have said nothing since November about what's going on with the sheriff's officers. Nothing to the advertiser. They will not sit for an interview. I had a response to this allegation about judges within a couple of hours.
Yeah. I wonder if there's not some sort of equivalency with what we've seen in Canberra.
100%.
There are these old institutions that are kind of veiled in, not secrecy, but they're not exactly understood and they're not permeated by normal people in everyday life.
And in this case, you've got an organisation that has to be, by the separation of powers, above and separate from government accountability.
Yeah, but it's power, what it is, and it's power. And look, this should not be some generalised slur on every bloke working in the law. Like,
no,
you know, not that I passed any of my subjects, but I made a lot of good friends in the law school that I have to this day, and they are excellent, morally upright people. But having said that, there is a certain cohort, and you're dead right, Will, the same maladjusted dweebs who proliferate in politics. They clearly exist in the law, and these are blokes who get off on power. They regard themselves as untouchable, big swinging you-know-whats, and they think that they can just get away with it. And the sad thing is, the report makes it plain that they can, because
49% of cases, 49% of sexual harassment cases, there is no consequence for the harasser.
And that's right, and that's because something like 3/4, I think, in the report said to the Commission, I wouldn't report this because the person was more senior than me.
Because of fear of my job, because of fear of being drummed out of the profession or suffering professional consequences.
Well, you suspect this is a story that we'll be hearing more about, and we'll check in on your Tizer coverage of it, Sean. The other thing we're going to be checking in on is, of course, part 2 of your incredible interview that for people that missed it on Just Lawfuls on Sunday night, and the second part will be on this Sunday night. They can catch up with it, though, can't they?
That's right. We're on Spotify, we're on iTunes, and you can catch up on the FIVEaa website as well. Julie Kelbin's interview about the death of her son Jack and the fallout of the trial is just indescribable.
Amazing stuff.
Make sure you listen to it. It's quite incredible. Good on you. It's on Monday this week because of Anzac Day.
There you go. That's breaking news for me as
well.
There
you go. Put it in your diary, everyone, including Sean Fuster. Good on you, Sean. 7 minutes to 8.
I'm Lindy Morrison, former drummer of the Go-Betweens. And if you're like me and driving less these days, FIVEaa's comprehensive car insurance rewards you with a drive less, pay less discount on your premiums.
Call FIVEaa on 13 50 50 for a quote today. FIVEaa. Get set, go. FIVEaa is an authorised representative of FIVEaa Limited, the product issuer. Most optional covers are not discounted. Limits, exclusions and conditions apply. Before buying this insurance, read the PDS. Contact us for a copy.
Don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. When you need a forklift, don't just get a forklift. Get a Toyota forklift. Get the world's #1 forklift brand. Get legendary Toyota reliability. Get world-leading safety and get it from toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get the Toyota Forklift Advantage for sales, service and hire. Get a Toyota forklift.
There's no blueprints to your new custom-built Beechwood home. Well, not yet anyway. But together with Beechwood, it won't take long to turn your ideas into sketches, then drawings, and finally a home you can live a beautiful life in. That's the really exciting thing about building with Beechwood Homes. They'll build the home you want. So collect your thoughts, your ideas, your Pinterest boards, whatever, and let's talk. Because life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
This is a first, which makes it doubly good. When you have a home battery installed by Westside Energy, they'll double your feed-in tariff. Get a home battery connected to your current solar system, or have a whole new solar system installed plus a home battery, and Westside Energy will double the current average feed-in tariff. Double your feed-in tariff and eliminate your current electricity bill. That's right, $0 electricity bills. Visit westsideenergy.com.au. T's and C's apply.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
5 minutes to 8. I like our listeners when they sort of politely remind us of things that might be either overstated or entirely incorrect. And I think this, I took this in the way intended, I think. Francis on the 5AA Facebook live stream says, "Good morning, boys. Beautiful chilly morning here in Hobart." And I think that's a polite rebuttal to my suggestion, at least earlier, that it was freezing cold this morning.
It wasn't freezing cold. Today, I don't think today was that bad. It was cool, but it wasn't freezing.
It was about 7.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah, but it was the first time it's been. I feel like I haven't
Look at you. You're only wearing a T-shirt.
Well, because you know me, once I commit to a change in season, I'm all in. So I don't ever go early.
How's this going to affect the Peter Shearer fashion parade tomorrow?
Oh, I'll have a little scarf on, probably. I'm not sure, actually. I'll leave it to Peter Shearer. The reason being, it's still only 5.4 in Hobart, and earlier it was about 2 degrees when Francis first messaged us. So, yeah, good on you. Rug up and keep listening, Francis. Amelia Mulcahy has all the information on the weather here in Adelaide. Morning to you, Amelia.
Good morning. The question is, what dish would we pair with this kind of weather? I know we were talking about that the other week. Yeah, what
we're heading deep into Osso Bucco territory now, I think. Yeah, something nice and slow.
We had a low of 6.4 degrees in Adelaide. That is cold. Our coldest April night on record is 5.1. So, nearing that.
Oh, there you go.
In Newry, they had a low of minus 0.6, and that equals the coldest April night on record there. Down to 4.1 in Parafield. Renmark got down to minus 0.9, and Loxton was the coldest with minus 1.2. So certainly probably some areas of frost, particularly about those eastern districts. There was a frost warning for that issued late yesterday. But we are expecting sort of cloud building today. It is a bit sort of cloudy around at the moment. It should be a fine day, but we are expecting a possible late shower with that second cold front for the week that we're expecting. Showers are more likely tomorrow morning, and we could see a shower or two on Friday as well. There's about a 50-50 chance of that. But then we'll dry out over the long weekend. So Anzac Day is looking like we've got a cool start, but it should be dry, importantly. And then we'll see a bit of sunshine next week. Monday 22 and Tuesday 22 as well. And for those playing at home, Cairns, it's still raining in Cairns. They've had falls of 159 millimetres at the start of the week, 175, recorded 200 millimetres overnight. So just for those playing at home, if we're talking about Hobart, let's go to Cairns too.
Yeah. Oh, that's extraordinary.
Quite a lot of rain.
Good on you, Amelia.
Thanks, Amelia.
Good on you guys.
Amelia Mulcahy from 7 News. Have you got an ingredient for us, David Penberthy?
I have.
Speaking of recipes.
I have an ingredient, Will.
Oh,
this is ingredient number 5.
I've got $2,000 from MasterChef and Channel 10 to give away on Friday morning. So we need ingredient number 5. We've got 10 on the way if you can guess the recipe on Friday morning, the first person, you'll win $2,000 cash.
I would like you to go and get 2 bay leaves for me, please.
2 bay leaves?
Exactly 2 bay leaves. 2 bay leaves.
Okay.
I won't say what I'm going to do with them, but...
Okay.
Because I reckon if I did, the gun cook would go, I know what he's up to.
All right, let's not say too much then.
I just need 2 bay leaves.
There's another recipe ingredient coming up after 8 o'clock, but right now it's time for John Blake, thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast, 13 13 64.
Can you tell me how to get to Sesame Street? How to get to Sesame Street? How to get to Sesame Street?
Hi, Big Bird, what are you doing?
Oh, hi, Oscar. I'm not doing anything. I'm just killing time.
More like wasting time.
But I like doing nothing.
Why don't you do something constructive like, I don't know, learn to fly?
Learn to fly?
Yeah, why not? You're a bird, but you don't fly.
But I don't want to fly.
What sort of bird doesn't want to fly?
I'm happy being here on the ground.
But bird, if you learn to fly and someone comes along and steals you, then you'll be able to escape.
Steal me?
Yeah, a lot of people like to steal a big yellow bird.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Why not? A lot of people like to impress their friends by having a big yellow bird.
But they wouldn't be able to use me.
Why not?
Because I'm hard to operate.
What?
It takes a long time to learn how to be me.
Why? You don't do anything.
Well, you can't see where you're going because I don't have eye holes.
What?
So to see where I'm going, I have to have a TV monitor strapped to my chest.
Are you all right?
And the person who stole me would have to use their right arm to operate my right arm, and their left arm is stuck up in my head.
Yeah, I didn't think there was room for a brain.
And they would use their fingers to move my mouth.
Yeah, I wish that would stop moving.
And my left arm is attached to my right arm by a wire. So when I move my right arm, my left arm moves as well.
Bird, I think you need professional help.
So if anyone stole me, they would be sadly disappointed if they wore me to a fancy dress party.
I wish somebody would steal you now.
Today's episode of Sesame Street was brought to you by the letters W, A, N, K, E, and R for the person who stole Big Bird, and the number 10, which is the maximum penalty in years for stealing in South Australia.
5AA News Time, breaking 8 coming up in a moment. And then Tom Duday from the Adelaide Football Club.
Online, on DAB Digital Radio, and on 1395 AM. Talking Adelaide. This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible late shower and 18 today with the 8 o'clock news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience. With 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
There are emotional scenes across the United States after a former Minneapolis police officer was found guilty of murdering George Floyd. Derek Chauvin, who was filmed kneeling on Mr. Floyd for almost 10 minutes, was found guilty on all 3 charges. Civil rights activist Al Sharpton says it's vindication for everyone who joined protests against racial inequality in the wake of Mr. Floyd's death.
We don't find pleasure in this. We don't celebrate a man going to jail. We would have rather George be alive. Amen. But we celebrate that we, because young people, white and black, some castigated, many that are here tonight, marched and kept marching.
45-year-old Chauvin is facing 40 years behind bars. Well, Big Bird is safe and well after 48 hours MIA. Seven's Peter Caldecott has told 5AA Breakfast he was returned to the Sesame Street Circus at Benithan Park in the early hours of this morning.
A contractor was on his way to work in dark, was passing the circus and saw 2 people sort of hanging around looking sort of suspicious, and so he went down the road and called 000, turned around and came back and saw the same 2 people running across the road from the circus, disappearing in between 2 buildings just by super cheap auto.
No arrests have been made at this stage. The bird is estimated to be worth around $160,000. Cleaning bans are set to be implemented in some of our public hospitals as part of a union dispute. Treasurer Rob Lucas says it defies belief in the middle of a global pandemic.
SA Health have advised us that some of these actions are a threat to patient and staff safety within the hospitals, and so we're seeking an urgent hearing in the Employment Tribunal this morning to try and get an order to tell the union bosses they're not allowed to proceed with this threatened industrial action.
South Australians will have another chance to nab a Great State voucher from 9 a.m. this morning. Instead of hotel stays, vouchers will be available to use on experiences. They'll be allocated via an electronic ballot, open until Friday night. Tourism SA's Rodney Harricks says it's a great chance to visit our regions.
So this is an absolutely amazing opportunity for South Australians. If you've ever thought about shark cage diving, canoeing on the Murray, getting out to our different regions, there are 3 types of vouchers, a $50, a $100 and a $200 voucher.
Detectives have charged a man with murdering his estranged partner and breaching a domestic violence order on the Gold Coast. Police found the body of 27-year-old Kelly Wilkinson in the backyard of her home and will allege the mother of 3 had been set alight. 34-year-old Brian Johnston remains under police guard in hospital. The charges are due to be heard in the Southport Magistrates Court today in his absence. Paleontologists say a Tyrannosaurus rex mass grave in the US shows they might not have been solitary predators as previously thought. Scientists have been using geochemical analysis of the bones and rock. They say it appears the T-Rex hunted in packs like wolves. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
3 words make a big difference to our local dairy farmers. Fluorio Milk Company. In your supermarket now.
And from T-Rex to T-Ren, here's Tom Wren.
Yes, from the big to the small. Let's start with footy. Adelaide confident Taylor Walker and Rory Laird will play in this Sunday's clash against Hawthorn in Tasmania. Walker's nursing a niggling calf complaint, while Laird hurt his shoulder in Sunday's match against Fremantle. But head of footy Adam Kelly told the club's website he should be fine.
Yeah, Rory was assessed on the day, was able to return to the field of play. We'd expect that he'll be available for selection this weekend. We'll monitor that throughout the week.
Meantime, Danielle Ponta has taken out the award for Mark of the Year in the AFLW competition overnight. Well, a highly controversial new European Super League is in tatters just 48 hours after its inception. All 6 English clubs have declared they're pulling out of the breakaway tournament. Manchester United chairman Ed Woodward is resigning over the fiasco. UK correspondent Adam Gilchrist saying the clubs have been hammered by public criticism.
They should absolutely be living with the tails between their legs, all of these big clubs, because they've treated their own fans appallingly in the process by just ignoring them, pretending they don't exist.
Meantime, Chelsea has been held to a 0-0 draw against Brighton in their English Premier League clash this morning. To tennis, and Alexei Popyrin's through to the round of 16 at the Serbian Open following a hard-fought 3-set win. Fellow Aussie Jordan Thompson also won in 3 sets at the Barcelona Open. And Brazilian Gabriel Medina has put on an aerial clinic to take out the Narrabeen Surf Classic. American Caroline Marks won the women's title. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, 2nd year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
At Fullerton for the drive-in, look out for a burst water main. That's Fullerton Road near Wattle Street. It's in the left-hand lane. Look out for roadworks there. Getting busy on the drive-in at Tonsley, Southern Expressway as you exit that and hit South Road. FIVEaa Drive also getting busy this morning as you approach the intersection of Goodwood Doors and Springbank Road, the upgrade there. And a few speed cameras to look out for today. Cavan Road, Dry Creek, Milne Road, Modbury Heights. Dig in with delivery from KFC. Get 24 nuggets for $10 delivered through the KFC app. But remember, offer is delivered in SA only, not everywhere and not forever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
18 today with a possible late shower. Showers easing tomorrow, 19. Right now it's 11 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
In the last hour on Adelaide's 5AA.
I want to talk about Anzac Day. There was a lot of conjecture earlier in the year about what could go along in the context of a COVID-safe environment. Jared is the secretary of the Morphett Vale RSL.
Well, finally, it's taken 4 weeks of all this to get a COVID management plan approved for us. So we've been approved now to have 7,000 people.
Brianna Sachs is in George Floyd Square for BuzzFeed.
Everyone was just on pins and needles, holding their breath. I was inside the cut food store where Floyd was killed, and the owners were preparing to close the store because they said that they expected the city to erupt and all hell to break loose if he was found not guilty. But this verdict is so rare.
A 206-page report that talks about widespread, entrenched, decades-long, systemic sexual harassment, bullying and intimidation within the legal profession going all the way to the top, all the way to judges, with some truly horrific comments made. And the response of the State Courts Administration Council is, well, it's not any sitting judges.
You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
8 after 8, the Police Commissioner coming up after 8:30. They haven't quite closed the case on the Big Bird kidnapping. No, still an open investigation, according to Matt Brown a little bit earlier. We'll chat with him about that, and indeed, too, the potential for crowds to be increased at the Adelaide Oval ahead of the showdown.
It should be an open investigation because while it's nice that the bird nabbers returned it, surely as a society we don't want to tolerate a set of circumstances where people are allowed to just steal stuff for fun for a couple of days, for a bit of a lark, and then go, oh, look, I gave it back.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I mean, you know, it's not Prosh Week.
All that we're doing then is just sort of sanctioning a non-opt-in loan scheme, aren't we?
Yeah, that's right. Look, I only had the Mercedes for 2 days.
That's right, under South Australia's well-known borrowing laws.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
I just needed your credit card.
Yeah, look, I was going to a party. I just wanted to dress up as Big Bird, all right?
Can't do that.
I mean, you know, where's the crime? I left a note. I took the bird back.
The Police Commissioner very shortly. Also, Tom Duday coming up live in the 5AA Breakfast studio for the first time.
I just met him out there.
Looking forward to our
chat.
chat.
I had a total fanboy moment.
Well, pull yourself together because we're going to be breaking it up.
I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can regain my composure. All right, let's change the subject. Now, 5AA had a long-standing relationship with the excellent people who used to run what, for many of our listeners, is a sorely missed motor race, the V8 supercars, the Clipsal 500, whatever you call it. Now, one of our blokes at work, who's very connected in this area, he told me this. This is a juicy one for you fellas, he said. There are 16 containers full of Clipsal 500 infrastructure stowed away, I've been told, and the government is employing an auction company to sell it off. The proviso, it must be done before the election. Quite obviously, they are trying to take away any chance of its resurrection by Labor. That's what the message says. I've had a chat to this person who assures me that his mail is impeccable. If you've got any more info about this, no fingerprints, no names, just give us a quiet buzz on 8223 0055 because it sounds like, as our friend says, a pretty juicy story.
You just want to maximise the price over being politically vindictive, wouldn't you?
Well, wouldn't the government argue, hey, we've announced as the government that the race is not going ahead, that it's not commercially viable, that the numbers were declining. So if at a time of great financial pressure, we can make a quid by selling all of the fencing and barriers and what have you, it makes perfect economic sense. I'm sure Labor would see it differently, given that bringing the race back is one of their key promises in the event space.
11 minutes after 8, Tom Duday in a moment. But first, let's just check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
At Fullerton for the drive-in, look out for a burst water main. That's Fullerton Road near Wattle Street. It's in the left-hand lane. Look out for roadworks there. Getting busy on the drive-in at Tonsley. Southern Expressway as you exit that and hit South Road. FIVEaa Drive also getting busy this morning as you approach the intersection of Goodwood Doors and Springbank Road, the upgrade there. And a few speed cameras to look out for today. Cavan Road, Dry Creek, Milne Road, Modbury Heights. Dig in with delivery from KFC. Get 24 nuggets for $10. Delivered through the KFC app. But remember, offer is delivered in SA only. Not everywhere and not forever. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Rowie Sport Show.
Port Gun Ford, his name is Mitch Georgiadis. Someone at the front door, Mitch, the dog's barking.
Yeah, we just got a little kelpie. Likes to bark a bit. She's 10 weeks old and she's a pain in the arse sometimes.
Mitch, they got to run, mate.
4 p.m. weekdays.
They're going to do 30 Ks a day.
I know, that's Ryan's problem, not mine.
You tell Ryan Burt, unless he's buying 1,000 sheep, he shouldn't have got himself a kelpie.
I'll let him know.
Rowie Sport Show on 5AA.
You think it's safe to walk the streets? Think again. Join Gary Jubilant for more untold stories behind Australia's most captivating crimes in a brand new season of the hit series Eye Catch Killers, now at eyecatchkillers.com.au.
Hi, it's Katie Bridges here, market lead in Adelaide for FIVEaa and Nova Entertainment. This year, I'm extremely passionate about participating in the Vinnie's CEO Sleep Out to help raise awareness about homelessness and much needed funds for Vinnie's and the great work they do. I'm calling on business and community leaders, not just CEOs, who care about their community to get involved. Will you put your hand up to help break the cycle of homelessness? Register now at ceosleepout.org.au and I'll see you there.
Peter Shearer Menswear is the brand with the brands. For more than 50 years, our experience has put us ahead of the latest fashion trends. Always. As the largest independently owned menswear brand in South Australia, we will match any genuine price on identical items. Always. But most importantly, our staff are helpful, honest and understand all body shapes are unique. The Peter Shearer Menswear commitment to ensuring customer satisfaction means we give right and honest advice. Always. Peter Shearer Menswear. Rundle Mall, Glenelg, Mount Barker and online.
Know what's kick-ass? Getting out there and exploring the great outdoors. And the right gear can make it really kick-ass. For quality four-wheel drive and camping gear, use kick-ass products. Available only at australiandirect.com.au.
Get more at Mawson Lakes Volkswagen. Don't wait for end of financial year sales. Get great deals on a massive range of new Volkswagens right now. Mawson Lakes Volkswagen has loaded up on new stock, as well as locate demos, all ready for immediate delivery. And if you're impressed with our sales team, you'll love our service department, with next day servicing and free loan cars. Don't wait for a great deal on Volkswagen. Get yours now from Mawson Lakes Volkswagen, just a short drive from the city.
Hearing Australia.
Hi, I'd like to ask about hearing aids, please.
Sure, but why are we whispering?
So we don't disturb the fish.
Oh, right. Our range includes hearing aids that can be so discreet people probably won't realise you're wearing one. And for eligible pensioners under the Hearing Services Program, there are 3 device choices to choose from that are free. And we will care for your hearing for life.
Got 'em, you beauty!
Hearing Australia. Discover the secret to celebrating sound in your life. Call 134432 or 134-HEAR today.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
15 minutes after 8, thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest PC and server manufacturer, built and serviced right here in Adelaide. We're delighted to have the Dude live in the studio.
I'm the Dude, so that's what you call me, you know? That or his dudeness or Duder or, El Duderino if you're not into the whole brevity thing.
And what you get to witness for the first time, Tom, is the fact that we grin and laugh at that like we're 5-year-old kids every single time we play. Yeah, well, that's good. We're glad you're involved as well.
Every morning.
Great to have you in, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's actually good to be in here and get to finally meet you guys, to be honest.
Well, absolutely, Tom. And it's a nice sign that life is returning to a kind of normality, because for a very long time you guys were banned from any sort of face-to-face contact with lowly hacks like ourselves, weren't you?
Yeah, it was actually a blessing for a little bit. Last year in the bubble, we weren't allowed to do pretty much anything. Not even sit at a cafe and have a coffee, even if no one else was in there. So to be able to return to normal life's been good, and to be able to come in and chat to you guys in person actually feels normal.
Yeah. No, it's been a while.
Frustration on the weekend. What was the wash up in terms of the analysis? What went wrong?
I think the main thing for us was mainly the fundamentals, just cleanliness around the stoppage. There was a little bit of that just ground ball take and finishing our kicks and stuff, where if we execute probably 2 or 3 earlier in that fourth quarter, we might get the lead and hold on. But we're a young group, obviously, and we're going to work on that this week. There's already been probably 2 or 3 sessions of just touch to try and fix that up. But we knew classy midfield, they were going to come in that fourth quarter, and unfortunately, we just didn't stand up. A couple of contests with me on low one-on-one, got to get them done, and a couple of things up the ground. But we'll bounce back and, get ready for Hawthorn next week.
When we spoke last week, Tom, we were talking about how in the previous game against Gold Coast, there'd been quite a few clangers, and everyone made amends for it in the final quarter. I guess the thing was there was no redemption story on the weekend, and with a young side that is kind of inevitable and to be expected. It's just a question of how you respond to it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And we've already responded, as I said, like with these, we've had 2 days of training. The Sanford boys have had an extra one, and we've got straight back into it. But I think we thought in that fourth quarter, the way that we run over Gold Coast and the way that we run over to North, it was maybe it would come to, and we'd just get it done. But as I said, FIVEaa, the way they play is pretty constricted game plan. They try and stop your run and carry and stop your ball movement, and they did a good job of it, and we had to execute, and unfortunately we didn't.
Your battle with Rory Lobb was really intriguing. You're giving up 18 centimetres, 7 inches in the old language to him.
Big man.
He's a big unit. Daniel Taylor's obviously out injured. We know that much. Jordan Butts has done a terrific job taking the number one key tall. How do you feel about being cast in the role of having to take the next big bloke or the resting ruckman down there? Is it a burden, or do you see some advantage because you can do some damage the other way?
Yeah, I really enjoy it, especially last week against Goldstein and Campbell from North. I felt like I can... Because I'm a bit quicker, I can sort of play a bit further off, and if the ball does get speed in, I can get back to him. But Lobb's just a great player, and he's just got that extra length in his wingspan where even if I was right on him, body contest, he just can reach higher than me. And I like the idea of being able to play on bigs and rolling off and stuff like that, but sometimes they're a little bit too tall for me, unfortunately. Yeah. I can't grow 10 centimetres on game day like I wish I could.
Are there some games that come up when you guys are all standing around looking at the fixture or scrolling through your app and going, oh no, we're going to Tassie? Like, because
no comment.
I was there a few years ago. I went down with my wife and kids, spent tens of thousands of dollars on domestic flights, thinking it was the grand final year where you just rock up every week to watch the Crows win most games by 5 to 10 goals. Seemed to be the same mindset the Crows had that day, because at quarter time it was 10 goals to none. And we thought, well, let's go to Mona and look at some weird art instead. But is Tassie...
something we want to get off your chest here?
Yeah. It's been waiting a long time for this opportunity.
I'm not asking for a refund. But is Tassie one of those places where collectively the players just go, oh no, we hate that place?
I'm going to be honest, I've never been there.
Haven't you?
And I reckon... I would say at least half our playing group wouldn't have even played a game down there. So
yeah.
I reckon it's more of a bit of excitement. It's exploring. It's a new opportunity. There are trips where you go, like the flight to Perth on a Saturday knowing you've got a Sunday game or something. There's times where you go, geez, it's going to be a long weekend. But I reckon Tassie's sort of a bit of a different opportunity, and I reckon it's exciting for our group.
Is it Launceston or Hobart, the game?
I think it's Launceston.
Launceston. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it'll be our first time playing down there for, I would say, at least half of our playing list.
Yeah, so chance to write some new history, make amends.
Yeah. Pack a jumper. It was 2 degrees at 6 o'clock there this morning. So
I don't like that.
No, that's going to be, that might take some adjusting. What happens to your mobile phone on match day? What did you make of Jeremy Howe and Jordan De Goey and Collingwood getting to strife for texting? I think they were texting about their injuries they'd had during the game to family members.
Yeah, which seems like all right on the surface, obviously, but I'm sure the AFL rule is, and this is what we do, obviously, because we're like, A1 for that, but it's you put your phone as soon as you walk in the locker room, you give it to our COVID guys, they put them in a security bag, whatever, lock them up, and then you can't touch them till the end of the game, and once it's all done. So
is it a COVID thing?
No, I think it's partly to do with AFL integrity and match fixing and stuff, so you can't.
So you can't use your betting app during the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you can't.
It's probably less that Tom's going to bet on himself to get another 15 touches in the second half than it is telling people he's not coming back.
Yeah, I would think texting you, Penberthy, at half time saying, mate, I'm done, load up on the rest of it.
I know. My old 6 from 7 predictions crashed and burnt, sadly.
Yeah.
Should have written up on the wall.
We do, we obviously do that. I think that's just where Collingwood went wrong, is they didn't lock them away, and Howe and De Goey felt they were pretty good to just grab their phone, and then that's where it went wrong.
Text your mum that you've been injured. It seems nice on the surface, doesn't it?
Yeah,
That's
right. Seems fine.
Also, I want to ask you sort of just a totally tangential footy story. Hamley Bridge won their first game in 5 years. I'm not sure if you saw this story.
Hamley Bridge in the Barossa?
Yeah, they won their first football game in 5 years.
There's some good footballers from there. Luke McCabe.
Yeah,
is from there.
Well, John Butcher's playing for him at the moment, so they've gone.
The future, John Butcher.
The future, the future's kid. And he kicked a bag. They won. One of the big issues they had was nobody knew the words when they got into the room. Now,
sounds like round 14 last year.
I wasn't going to say that. You took that one from.
What do you do when you arrive at a football club in the AFL and you're going to be on camera having to sing the song? What do the boys do? Do they fudge their way through, or do you have to know what you're doing?
So my anecdote for this is that when I won our first game in Sample back in, where did we play that at? Manham Oval. back in 2016 is I got absolutely sloshed with Gatorade the entire time that no one could tell that I didn't know a single word of the club song.
Right. That's the secret.
So when I ran out to the opening bounce, I was listening to the song play. I was going, I'm trying to learn these words before the game, not thinking about my direct matchup. And then it comes to the song, and I was honestly like just 30 seconds of pure Gatorade shower, so I didn't even have to learn. But I think the young boys try and get away with that. They just go and just sing with it a little bit.
Yeah,
get away with it.
That's good. Hey, we love always talking to you about the world of entertainment. This is one of your other specialties in amongst American sport and actually playing professional sport yourself. The Academy Awards are coming up. I'm not sure the average Joe, and I put myself in this category, has ever known less about an Academy Awards field than this year. So,
spot on. Can
you give us a bit of education?
Yeah, so I agree with you because I think all the major big budget ones are being pushed back, and so all these little numbers that Nomadland, Minari that I love, unfortunately no one's really seen. I think it's going to be the least watched Oscars of all time, which is not good considering we've just come off a year where no one went to the movies, especially in America.
Yeah.
Could signal the end of theatres and things like that going forward, I reckon. But your front runners, Nomadland, and Chloe Zhao, the director, she's probably going to win Best Director. That'll probably win Best Picture. Movies like Mank and Minari and Promising Young Woman, they've got a few nominations here and there. Trial of Chicago 7 with Andy Sorkin done that.
Oh, yeah, that was one of your recommendations.
That was one of my
weeks
recommendations.
ago.
Yeah, Sorkin's he's a great writer, but he's tried his hand at directing, and it's a good movie. It's not a world beater, but it's a good movie.
Was it last year when the Korean movie Parasite won, and Trump went berserk about it and said this is meant to be celebrating the best of American cinema?
Yeah, 2019. Well, 2019 movie that won it last year, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's terrific, that film, I thought.
That's my favourite. I've seen it 4 or 5 times since.
Parasite or 1970?
Parasite,
yeah. It's so clever. It's a unique... Is Minari directed by a Korean director as well?
Yeah, same things. Yeah, so they're trying to go back to back. And it was the first time anyone had been nominated from Korea last year with Bong Joon-ho, who's an incredible movie director if you want to go watch some of his older stuff. But unfortunately, it's just the whole list. Like I try to see every movie that gets nominated for anything, whether it be cinematography and editing. And the only one I don't watch is some of the animated. I love my animated movies, but when I added Shaun the Sheep, Farmageddon or something to my list, I went, this is probably where you got to draw the line, Tom. I don't need 90 minutes of a sheep like on a Farmageddon or whatever was going on there. So
for those of you who've just tuned in, this is the 5AA movie show with Margaret Pomerantz and David Stratton.
Yeah, that's right.
I love it.
And Roger Ebert.
Roger Ebert.
Yeah, but I can give a lot of info on the Oscars, but I've got a feeling a lot of it's just going to go in one ear out the other for most people because unfortunately this year is just not those polarising movies that anyone cares about.
All we wonder if it'll go back if the combination of COVID and streaming means the Oscars has changed forevermore. Probably has.
Quite possibly. All we ever try to do on this show, Tom, is give people sound bites so they can sound smart when someone else asks them a question. So you've done that. People can talk about it at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, just Nomadland. There you go. It's a beautifully shot and it's got a deep and meaningful story to it. That's just go down that path and then everyone will think you're an absolute genius. That's what I do anyway. I sound like I'm smart. I've got no idea what I'm talking about.
I tell you what, you've come to the right radio show for
that.
Exactly
right. Fitting in naturally. Hey, Tom, great to have you in, mate.
Appreciate it.
All the best for the weekend.
Tom.
Rug up for Tassie. We'll catch you next week.
All good.
Tom Boudreau, thanks to Leader Computers, Australia's largest PC and server manufacturer, built and serviced right here in Adelaide.
Hey, Barry.
Yes, Bev?
Remember our first Jayco back in the 80s?
Gee, those were the days, Bev.
Yeah. And Walker Crash Repairs have been an RAA-approved crash repairer since then.
Wow. That's 35 years.
Yeah, and now they're also an RAA-approved caravan crash repairer.
Well, that's because they do such a good job, Bev.
You can always relax on the road with Walker Crash Repairs, an RAA-approved crash repairer for caravans and cars.
We hear you. You've lived enough to know you want more. More time, more freedom, more living. Introducing Encore Apartments from ECH, a new vertical retirement village at Modbury, opposite Tea Tree Plaza. 77 two-bedroom apartments, all with private balconies, plus on-site cafe, fitness centre and community garden. Book an appointment to see the new display suite at Parkside or visit echencore.com.au.
At Coles, there's hundreds of prices down and counting, so the price of breakfast is down. With Coles orange juice 2 litres from the chilled juice fridge down to $5. Save 25 cents. Coles. Value the Australian way.
Get a Nissan Qashqai with Apple CarPlay and a standard 5-year warranty. Plus, when you finance with Nissan Future Value, receive up to 3 years free service. Only at Nissan. T's and C's apply. Approved applicants only.
When people walk through the doors at Pals, the first thing they say is wow. Not only because of the size and the selection, but also because of the team. Sam and Jamie have tasted every drop. They and their team can recommend a whiskey that's just as good as that hard-to-find Japanese one, if they don't have it, that is. Or a beautiful red that's reminiscent of that outstanding cellar door you once travelled so far to visit. Parafield Airport Liquor Store. Pals, next to Roulette's Tavern, Kings Road, Parafield.
Now, never before has a number meant so much. The 19th at West, a stunning home and land release offering uninterrupted views across the manicured fairways of the Grange Golf Club, or looking over the green open spaces of West's Linear Park. It's a beautiful part of Adelaide. This is as good as it gets, folks. Just stunning.
And the good news, you can choose from 2, 3 and 4 bedroom architecturally designed homes priced from just $708,000.
Whether you're looking for a spacious family home, a new outlook as you downsize, or a beautiful step into Adelaide's property market, you'll enjoy a lifestyle that's truly above par.
It's an absolutely fantastic development. As you can imagine, these stunning homes will sell fast. So act today and secure your future in a truly beautiful part of Adelaide. Visit the19thwest.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head online to 5AA Facebook or search 5AA on YouTube. At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
29 minutes after 8. You know what? It's nice when you're on radio getting supportive messages from your spouse about what's going on. And my wife just messaged me and she said, why are you guys mentioning the Big Bird thing? What's going on? Isn't Big Bird been found? You haven't talked about it. I said, we've only talked about it all morning. She just said, actually, I was listening to yesterday's podcast. Fuel Watch, thanks to Dave Pot Honda, Australia's ~1 Honda dealer, second year running, davepotthonda.com.au. It's starting to come down, mid-$30s for Fuel Watch. Ex-Convenience Northeast Road is cheaper though, $1.13. The United on South Road, Melrose Park, $1.22. The Ex-Convenience Grand Junction Road, Port, $1.13. This can't be right. Where's Sam? Is Sam listening? The Caltex Brighton Road, North Brighton, $1.
$1, exactly $1.
$1, is that right? They're all chatting with the police commissioner.
Right.
See,
He's very thorough, Sam.
Apparently. Lucy's nodding her head. She's out there too. Lucy says it's $1 at the Caltex Road, North Brighton.
She's the petrol meister.
They're just giving it away. 5AA News Time. The police commissioner coming up right after this.
This is Adelaide's 5AA.
A possible late shower today in 18 with the 8:30 news. I'm Mel Usher.
The X in Physio Extra stands for extra time, extra care, extra convenience, with 6 locations. Visit physioextra.com.
There's relief in Minneapolis after a jury found former police officer Derek Chauvin guilty of the murder of George Floyd. The 45-year-old is facing 40 years behind bars. The case sparked worldwide protests, and Brianna Sachs from BuzzFeed has told 5AA Breakfast there were fears violence could erupt again.
Everyone was just holding their breath. I was inside the cut food store where Floyd was killed, and the owners were preparing to close the store because they said that they expected the city to erupt and all hell to break loose if he was found not guilty. But this verdict is so rare, and just the fact that we even got a trial.
Big Bird has returned, much to the relief of the Sesame Street Circus. He was dumped at Benithan Park in the early hours of this morning, 48 hours after his disappearance. Senior Constable Matt Brown says the so-called Big Bird bandits left a note with their feathered friend.
The note that was in the beak of the costume says, "We are so sorry. We had no idea what we were doing or what our actions would cause. We were just having a rough time and we're trying to cheer ourselves up. We had a great time with Mr. Bird. He's a great guy and no harm came to our friend. Sorry to be such a big burden," and that's BIRDEN.
A third round of the popular Great State vouchers will be on offer this morning, encouraging South Aussies to experience our state. Michaela Kamarik has the details.
The third round of the Great State vouchers go on offer from 9 a.m. this morning, and this round is focused solely on experiences. Shark cage diving, Segway tours, canoeing and gin making are some of the activities on offer. $50, $100 and $200 vouchers will be up for grabs. Recipients can register their interest on the tourism website and they'll be selected through an electronic ballot. The ballot closes on Friday night with successful applicants notified on Saturday. Bookings can then begin as soon as next Tuesday.
The EU's drugs regulator says blood clots should be listed as a very rare side effect of the Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine. In a statement, the European Medicines Agency says it's found a possible link between the jab and clots, but the benefits of the COVID vaccine still outweigh the risks. More than $500 million will be spent on new hydrogen and carbon capture projects as part of efforts to reduce emissions. This year's federal budget will include $275 million for 4 hydrogen hubs in regional Australia. A similar amount will be spent on new carbon capture projects. Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor says it will create thousands of jobs.
It's actually an investment in bringing down emissions, but most importantly in investing in jobs in our regional areas. This is about establishing hydrogen hubs to produce hydrogen for use in Australia and for our customers offshore.
The wraps have come off some new look Apple products. The company unveiled the AirTag at their spring-loaded event overnight, which can track things like keys and wallets. There's also a redesigned iMac. The iPad Pro has had a refresh. The colour choices for the iPhone now include purple, and Apple has given the podcast app a major overhaul. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Who loves South Australia as much as you do? Fluorio Milk Company. South Australian and proud of it.
It's over to Tom Wren.
Thank you, Mel. Adelaide defender Tom Doedee says the players are looking forward to heading to Tasmania for Sunday's clash against Hawthorn. Doedee telling David and Will it'll be a new experience for him playing in Launceston.
I'm going to be honest, I've never been there. And I reckon I would say at least half our playing group wouldn't have even played a game down there. So yeah. I reckon it's more of a bit of excitement. It's exploring. It's a new opportunity.
The Crows are expected to have both Taylor Walker and Rory Laird available, despite nursing sore spots from Sunday's clash against Fremantle. Meantime, a handful of familiar footy names have been named as part of the AFL Academy squad to take on the Geelong VFL side this weekend. Jace Burgoyne, the son of former Port Adelaide player Peter, Nick Dacos, the son of Collingwood legend Peter, as well as Gavin Wanganine's nephew Naziah and Michael O'Loughlin's nephew Blaine, all looking to impress recruiters. Well, the controversial European Super League has lasted just 48 hours, with fans defeating the commercial interests of rich football club owners. All 6 English Premier League clubs have withdrawn from the breakaway competition, caving into pressure from their own supporters. The remaining Spanish and Italian clubs are yet to make official statements on the developments. Meantime, Chelsea has been held to a 0-0 draw against Brighton in their EPL clash this morning. And in some tennis to finish, Aussie Jordan Thompson has set up a second-round clash with Pablo Carreño Busta at the Barcelona Open. That's after he beat Frenchman Richard Gasquet in the opening round. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Now checking 5AA traffic.
Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
At Fullerton Road near Waddle Street, there's a burst water main. It's in the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city. Getting busy in a few spots this morning. Tonsley Southern Expressway as you hit South Road. St Mary's 5S Drive approaching the Goodwood Doors Springbank Road intersection there. And Crossroad busy from Goodwood Road on the driving this morning. Couple of speed cameras to Main Road, Belair and Milne Road, Modbury Heights. Thanks to RAA's free app, all South Aussies can now find the cheapest fuel in an instant. Download the My RAA app from your app store today. It's free, even if you're not an RAA member. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Audi Solitaire, Metro Dealer of the Year. Visit audisolitaire.com.au.
A possible late shower today, showers easing tomorrow 19, up to 20 on Friday. Right now it's 10 degrees. More news as it happens on 5AA.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
24 minutes to 9. Jump on the 5AA Facebook, YouTube and Facebook live streams. You know, the Police Commissioner, Grant Stevens, has joined us live in the 5AA Breakfast studio. Commissioner, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good to have you in, as always, Commissioner. So, COVID, it looks like we're taking the brakes off a little bit, with numbers being what they are, and we're starting to get on top of, or starting to make some inroads, rather, into the vaccination schedule. What good news is on the horizon, do you reckon?
Well, I think a lot of it hinges on the rollout of the vaccine. That's a bit of a game changer for us, I think, in terms of being able to really step away from these restrictions. We have to remember, though, right at this point in time, we've got 20 people in South Australia who have COVID-19. Now, they're all in many hotels. I think 2 are in the RAH. So the risk is still here. We've got workers and nursing staff interacting with these people, so we still have to manage the risk. That's what everyone has to remember. As good as things are in South Australia and Australia generally, we are still managing people with COVID-19, and we'd hate to be in a position that we see in other countries simply because we went too hard too quickly with relaxing these restrictions. But I'm keen to lift them as quickly as we can.
Do you have a view about whether people who refuse to be vaccinated or choose not to be vaccinated should be allowed to keep working in many hotels?
Well, I've taken the view with police officers. If they elect not to have the vaccine, we won't force anyone to have the vaccine, but if they elect not to have it, then we'll move them out of the COVID hotels and the quarantine arrangements for the airport as well, and we'll put them back to other duties, and we'll bring other people in. I think I'm obligated to make sure they're as safe as possible, but I think there's a bigger picture here where we need to know we're doing everything we can to prevent or minimise the risk of that virus getting out of those hotels. So that's the position we've taken for SafeHole.
Have you got anything like, or been discussing anything like a roadmap for what restrictions in South Australia and the rest of the country will look like when we get to 50% vaccinated or 70% vaccinated or 90%?
No, we tried to work on a roadmap probably through the middle of last year in terms of relaxing the restrictions. There's a lot of dynamics that are hard to factor into that. We're pretty close to normal right at the moment, but there are still steps we can take. I think we're just watching to see how the vaccine impacts on our ability to make those changes. This is uncharted territory. Every step we take in COVID is a new step, and unfortunately sometimes we have to take a few steps back. But so far in South Australia we've been doing pretty well. I don't know what the vaccine's going to be in terms of a positive outcome, but I'm certainly looking forward to that positive outcome.
Commissioner, you were up in the APY lands last week at the same time as that incredibly harrowing report was brought down by the coroner into the abduction and murder of the Outback nurse Gail Woodford. One of the recommendations that the coroner has made is that there needs to be a more permanent police presence in Freegon, which is that deeply troubled town in the middle of the APY lands. Firstly, can you just tell us what's it like going there as a police commissioner? It must be a pretty confronting sort of a place.
Oh, look, they are different communities. The people up there are great. We interact really well with them. The police officers who work there have great relationships with the local community members. But there are policing challenges on the APY lands. I think the total APY lands is about 103,000 square kilometres, with a population of 2,300 odd people spread over 10 communities. We have police stations or police presence in 4 of those communities, and the others are policed by those police who travel out to those smaller communities. Freegon itself has got a population of about 220. So we need to balance, the ability to put resources into these places and make sure that we're not over-policing at the same time. So we do have currently out for consultation with our workforce a staffing model for the APY lands, which will see a greater police presence, a more consistent police presence. And we're also working with government to try and establish better facilities in small communities like Freegon, Indulkna and Pipplajara, where the police officers who travel to those locations can spend longer there because they've got appropriate facilities to work from. So we're working through that at the moment, and we'll see what that delivers.
We had an influx of calls and texts yesterday about a truck breaking down on the southeastern freeway and what it meant for commuters. 3-4 hour waits back to Glen Osmond Road. And Hills residents were pulling their hair out saying, can't something more be done with regard to directing traffic flow to the other side and making use of the roadworks that are going on there at the moment? From your perspective, is there anything that can be done to better manage those sorts of scenarios?
It's a real challenge, I think, and I'm not much for handballing questions to other agencies, but this really is one for Transport in terms of how they manage the roadworks. But this situation we had yesterday was a breakdown of a truck, and it really just happened at the wrong time when the traffic was starting to build up. We also had demands on our police resources, so it was difficult for us to get police there straight away, and by the time we did have free patrols to send there, they were stuck in the congestion as well. The assessment was made that the risks to set up a contraflow where we send vehicles up the wrong side of the road was too great at that time, so it became a situation where people just had to accept that there was going to be delays. It happens regularly, not all the time, but I can understand the frustrations for people who live in the hills. My daughter was one of the people caught in that. It took her 3 hours to get home from work. It's usually a 35-minute trip, so I don't know what the answers are. If we have an emergency situation, then there are other steps we can take to make sure that we can clear the freeway or evacuate communities that need to use the freeway. But the assessment was that, as frustrating as this was, and that, notwithstanding the fact that people were heavily inconvenienced, it wasn't an emergency situation that required us to take those steps.
I've got a text from Rick from Aldinga Beach with a question for you. He says, on the cross-border registration form, why are we still using it? Why is so much intrusive information required? We haven't had any community cases for 5 months.
Well, that document is there so that we can keep track of people who come from interstate into South Australia. At the moment, and I'd probably challenge the fact that it's personal information. There are details, name, address, date of birth, where you've come from, that sort of thing, which is obviously relevant to tracking COVID-19. We have had conversations about suspending the need for that particular document, but I think it's easier for people to maintain a familiarity with the process than for us to stop and start it all the time. And at the moment, when you go on, if you're coming into South Australia and you do the application, it's automatically approved, and you'll get an email that asks you just to confirm. You nominate your arrival date, and on that date you'll get an email saying, did you arrive in South Australia, or you're no longer travelling, and you just hit yes or no. It's a pretty straightforward process. It's another one of those things that we just have to live with while we're managing COVID-19. It's not here forever, but we're trying to make it as simple as possible.
Commissioner Grant Stevens, always great having you in. Thanks for joining us.
No worries, thanks guys.
16 minutes to 9. Let's check traffic. Thanks to Dave Potter, Australia's #1 Honda dealer, second year running. DavePotterHonda.com.au.
At Fullerton Road near Wattle Street, there's a burst water main there. It's in the left-hand lane as you're heading into the city this morning and getting busy in a few spots. St Mary's 5 Drive approaching Goodwood Doors Springbank Road intersection. Also Salisbury East Main North Road approaching Kings Road busy, and Greenhill Road at Glen Osmond carrying a bit of traffic this morning as well. A couple of speed cameras to look out for: Oaklands Road, Oaklands Park, and One Tree Hill at Golden Grove. Adelaide, it's a fact. Everyone is driving their car more. Let UltraTune's mechanics ensure your car is trouble-free and safe for the road. Search UltraTune for a service centre near you. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
When you're gone, who gets your vintage 1951 Telecaster? Who gets the jewellery handed down from your great-great-great-grandmother? Who gets the other things that were precious to you? If you don't have a will, you'll never know. Donlan Lawyers specialise in wills and estate planning. From the simplest to the most complex, you can trust Donlan Lawyers to help protect your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com.
Dr. Greg Keane explains how SportsMed puts patients first every day.
SportsMed is different. We have a clinic and hospital with specialists, doctors, physios and podiatrists all together in one location. There's also pathology, radiology, pharmacy and a cafe. This makes life easier for our patients because their appointments can all happen right here. It also lets us diagnose issues quickly, leading to high quality, cost-effective care.
And their patients love it. SportsMed.
Start living life again with our expert help.
Sportsmed.com.au.
Next time you're in Foodland, make sure you look for Kidman Premium Grain-Fed Gourmet Cocktail Pies.
Oh, tasty stuff. When it comes to pies, they don't get much better than Kidman pies. South Australian through and through. Handmade right here from locally sourced ingredients, including Barossa Valley premium hand-diced beef.
And the bit we all love, Kidman Premium Grain-Fed Gourmet Cocktail Pies are made by the highly skilled bakers at Villy's Bakery. So you just know you're in for a real treat.
I'll tell you what, I met one of those bakers, Sam, through my kid's school. Big shout out to all the excellent bakers at Villy's. Great for a snack and purpose-made for impressing guests. Look for Kidman Premium Grain-Fed Gourmet Cocktail Pies. Available now at your local Foodland. And if you can't find them, be sure to ask one of the friendly Foodland team and they'll point you in the right direction.
Kidman Premium Grain-Fed Gourmet Cocktail Pies, Australia's best cocktail pies.
For over 36 years, Steinborner has been well worth the trip. With over 400 used cars to choose from, you're sure to find the car you're looking for. Steinborner is your first choice for new Hyundai and Mitsubishi in the Barossa, and your first choice for Ford in Clare. And don't forget, you can always click through the collection of vehicles online at steinborner.com.au. Great local deals on great local cars from your locals. Steinborner Automotive. Still well worth the trip, or well worth the click.
9 News, weeknights at 5, nightly at 6. The switch is on to the news that's live and local. 9 News, made in Adelaide.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
12 minutes to 9, we crossed to Minneapolis about an hour ago to George Floyd Square to get the latest on the fallout from the Derek Chauvin trial. Verdict, found guilty in all 3 charges. There was elation, but it was subdued somewhat. We'll go back to Minneapolis now. Tim Lester for 7 News is on the line. Tim, just describe the setting for us.
Well, there's been a street march, which, as you quite rightly say, expressed elation, but in many respects relief. And also, I think there is a strong sense, talking to people here, that this is a mission just begun rather than achieved. By that I mean they have a sense that there are untold number of unresolved cases of police violence around the United States to African American men in particular. Many of them have died over the years. And this was an extraordinary case because police themselves turned on Derek Chauvin, the accused who knelt on George Floyd's neck, and they testified against it, particularly the police chief. They've now managed to achieve a situation where he is a convicted murderer today and going to jail. That is extraordinarily rare in the United States, a white police officer convicted for the murder of a black man while on duty, while at least seemingly doing his job. So an extraordinary situation, some elation, but knowledge that there are other cases, not least that young 20-year-old Dante Wright, who died this month when a police officer appeared to be thinking she was using her taser and was using a pistol.
Tim, I presume that Derek Chauvin has the right to appeal. Has there been any indication yet that he will?
None yet. We don't know whether he will seek an appeal, and there was some contention that some of the comments made by politicians, one Democrat in particular who talked about the need for protest if he wasn't found guilty, might have prejudiced his trial. Now, we're not there yet. We don't know that that's the case, but one of the questions that remains open is what legal avenues he might try to take. The other, of course, is his sentencing, which is not yet complete. That has to be done. And although second-degree murder carries a maximum prison term of 40 years, he's not likely to get anything near 40 years. He'll, in fact, probably serve 10 to 15, if that, because he has no record and so would be up for a much shorter sentence than the maximum sentence.
Mm. Tim, thank you for that.
Great stuff.
Tim Lester in Minneapolis for 7 News. 10 minutes to 9, Joe Biden, the US president, is on his feet at the moment. We'll play you a little bit of what he's got to say reacting to the verdict in that trial. But first, Leon Biner, who's coming up in about 15 minutes' time. Morning to you, Leon.
Morning, Will and Dave. We're going to talk this morning to Nicole Flint, who represents in her seat that area called the Southeastern Freeway, because we've got to do some smart stuff. Luigi Rossi and Associates, Luigi used to be a transport bureaucrat within the department. He said there is now technology that's remote. You can press a button and you can change everything. And we really need to get to that point on the SE Freeway. So we're going to talk about that today. And also, try this on. The number of electricity disconnections has gone up fourfold.
What, from people on economic hardship?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty bleak statistic, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're going to talk to Ross Womersley from SACOS about that, plus a lot more. See you after 9.
On your lounge, coming up to 8 minutes to 9. Here is US President Joe Biden reacting to the verdict in the Derek Chauvin trial.
Today, a jury in Minnesota found former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin guilty on all counts in the murder of George Floyd last May. It was a murder in the full light of day, and it ripped the blinders off for the whole world to see. The systemic racism the Vice President just referred to. The systemic racism is stain on our nation's soul.
I'll tell you what, it doesn't even bear thinking about what might have happened if the result had gone the other way. But yeah, nice for a change to see peace in relation to race in America, isn't it?
Well, and some people had speculated that irrespective of which way the verdict would go, there'd be violence afterwards. And that doesn't appear to have be the case. Certainly in Minneapolis, where the strength of emotion is greatest. It's people marching around cheering happily at the moment.
Tim Lester's report was interesting because worth reminding us that it was actually the evidence from police themselves that nailed this bloke. And you have to feel sorry, I think, as a reasonable-minded person, for the many, many, many decent cops in America who go into it out of a sense of public service. They love their community. They want to keep people safe. They want to, round up the genuinely bad guys. And for them, because there's been plenty of cops that have been shot in retaliation to the kind of things that are epitomised by the worst of police behaviour, George Floyd, Rodney King, what have you. You just hope that they can sort of get through this as well, because what a chilling environment to work in every day, and the country was just totally overrun with weapons. Serious drug problems, serious poverty problems in the inner cities.
Does a good cop ever get the benefit of the doubt in America in this backdrop? They don't, do they? I don't mean in a legal sense. I mean in an interaction sense. I mean you.
Well, but the problem is, I think that neither person does. The black guy in the car, be he a successful medical professional, an innocent college student who's just got his first vehicle, or a drug dealer, they all seem to be treated the same because of the basis of their colour. And all white cops are also looked at as potential bigots.
Yep.
It's just the sad.
It's been an impossible situation,
affairs, isn't it?
Which I guess the hope is now that this is a circuit breaker from that way of thinking.
Totally.
6 to 9, behind closed doors is coming up. Have you got your little recipe book out over there? Because we've got another
ingredient.
No, not just yet. We'll do it right after the break. There's another ingredient coming up. If you can determine what the recipe is on Friday morning as the first caller, you'll get $2,000. Thanks to Channel 10. I don't want to mix those things up because Channel 2 would not give away $10,000.
No.
Vanguard has over 30 million investors worldwide who believe in low-cost investing and long-term performance. This gives all of us the best chance of investment success. So when we say us, you realise we mean you. Vanguard. Investing in us. Search Vanguard Effect. Before investing, consider your own circumstances, as Vanguard has not, and read the relevant Vanguard disclosure document available at vanguard.com.au. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Pete is a whiz when it comes to trivia. He's one of the care workers at Rest Haven. Not only is Pete an expert care provider for Rest Haven, he runs quiz shows all the time. There's not a capital city he doesn't know, and he can quote any film by title and year, even those you've never heard of. It's Rest Haven team members like Pete that mean you can rest assured your loved ones are getting the best support, at home or in our residential services. Rest assured. resthaven.asn.au.
Now, we spoke about this last week. It's an amazing initiative by ACH Group for those over the age of 65, and it's called Stay in the Game.
I love that interview. This is a cool thing. Older South Australians are invited to register for the new online video gaming challenge, and it sees participants set their own gaming goals, find new games to play, stay active and meet new people, plus there's prizes to win.
By the time I get to 65, I'll have been training my whole life for this. It's the first of its kind in South Australia, run by leading aged care provider ACH Group. The Stay in the Game challenge is free to participate in and will be held until the 28th of May. So if you're over the age of 65, we'd certainly encourage you to enter. To get involved, all you need to do is have a smartphone or computer and the internet.
I'm only 13 years away. What about that? Well, chilling statistic. Looking forward to that. Carve up on the galaxy and want to make it to Rest Haven. For more information and to register, simply visit stayinthegame.achgroup.org.au. That's stayinthegame.achgroup.org.au.
The new Nissan Navara has landed. It's got a 3.5-tonne brake towing capacity, 1-tonne payload, and an intelligent off-road around view monitor. Head to your Nissan dealer for a test drive. T's and C's apply.
At Bob Jane T-Marts, there's deals for safer holiday driving. Visit bobjane.com.au. You're listening to 5AA Breakfast. David Penberthy and Will Goodings.
3 to 9. Speaking of not being too old for certain jobs and roles, how about Michael Keaton bringing back his role as Batman? Age of 69.
69.
Last played at 1991, so we're talking 30 years ago. He was in his 30s when he last played the role. I'm not sure it'll be an expansive role that he'll play in the new Flash movie, but he's coming back as Batman.
Well, you think about it. I mean, you proving this every Thursday, Will, because suits really are false advertising for men. You look absolutely terrific in
what
the,
are you saying?
in the suit. Well, no. That sounded ruder than it was meant to.
Backhanded compliment.
But no, if you want to really look at your rippling, muscular best, a Batman suit is the way to go.
Oh,
Don't you
absolutely.
think?
Yeah.
Because it's got the sort of chest plate built in.
Well, it doesn't matter what happens underneath.
No, exactly.
It's rubber abs.
Yeah.
In fact, there's an argument we should all have a rubber ab suit on. Now, what's your ingredient?
8-minute abs. Garlic.
Garlic is ingredient number 6.
Garlic.
Number 6.
Garlic. You cannot make this dish without garlic. I'm not telling you how many cloves, though, or
think
what you do with them. Oh, no, I'll tell you how many cloves. 3.
Every good dish has garlic in it. But by the end of the week, there you go. There's a piece of
Or
advice
like
for
creme
nothing.
brulee.
Yep. I wouldn't eat it without garlic. I wouldn't eat creme brulee anyway, frankly. And now,
No, me neither.
by the end of the week, you'll have 10 ingredients and have a chance to win $2,000 thanks to Channel 10 and MasterChef. It's time to go behind closed doors thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast 13 13 64.
And when we get behind closed...
1395, Adelaide's 5AA. This is Andrew Brymer.
Here we are, welcome back to the program with Andrew Reimer, and that's me, and you're with me on the program on 1395, Adelaide's 5AA AM on your interactive dial. Don't forget you can ring through on the interactive phone number, which is 82230000, or email on air at 5AA.com.au. Or you can text, and I bet you thought I'd finished on 044-808-1395. An email here from Marjorie who says, "Hi Andrew, I'm getting sick to death of the politicians telling us there's nothing to worry about with regards to the COVID vaccine. I don't believe them anymore. Yep, I've had my own doubts about the COVID vaccine from the very start, and my fears have been proved right time and time again, and I'll be spreading more of that false fear as the night goes on, and a bit later on, Frank Tangallo is coming in, and both of us will sit here and squirt poison into your ears about the COVID vaccine. In fact, it's a documented fact now that the poison we'll squirt in your ears is more dangerous than any of the vaccines that are available. And Frank and I will sit here and say how we don't trust the vaccine and give reasons why, and then one of us will say in a loud, forceful voice, "But by no means am I an anti-vaxxer," and the other one will say in an equally loud voice, "No, neither am I, not at all," and then go back to giving reasons why we really are concerned about getting vaccinated, and by the end of the show you'll be gluing yourself to the road with "No Vax for Me" tattooed across your forehead.
Well, that sounds like a different tone to the one we take. We are out of time. Leon Byner's coming up after 9 o'clock, and we'll catch you tomorrow from 6.